siasa or politics ukipenda. We're streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. And we'll shortly be going live on YouTube, so please call in all your YouTube friends. Remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The One Mic Show, and then follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show. We're also taking in live calls tonight. The number is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak, so save that number. Now, across the Kenyan diaspora timelines, the dream is still alive. Relocation posts, village sunsets, and bold declarations about finally moving back home after years abroad. But once you land, a different reality kicks in. Does the dollar advantage really hold? Do systems work the way you expect? And what determines whether you actually thrive or quietly struggle? Joining us shortly is Kimani, a reverse diaspora returnee from Arizona, whose viral live call 2 weeks ago shook timelines and forced many to rethink everything they thought they knew about relocating to Kenya. And tonight, Kimani goes deeper into the hidden rules, the hard truths, and what it really takes to sustain the move. So start dropping your comments below and let us know where you're tuned in from, what city, what country, what state. Na bila kusahau, tunapokea mziki toka DJ wetu, Machachari, mleta habari, DJ Moshfire. Na tunadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Ojeze yake nambari 7 mgongoni, akiletea habari za michezo. Moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios, mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibu.
Now, let's talk politics.
This hour there might be some politics or not politics, but we are picking up from our last episode and going deeper into the realities of moving back to Kenya, from the illusion of a dollar advantage to whether your diaspora experience truly translates on the ground and what it actually takes to sustain life once you're no longer just visiting. Kimani, a reverse diaspora returnee from Arizona, whose viral call 2 weeks ago shook timelines, joins us to break down what's true, what's exaggerated, and what many diasporans only discover after making the move. So please drop a comment below and tell us what city, what state, and what country you're tuned in from. I want to welcome everyone on YouTube and on Facebook. Karibuni sana. And we're already quickly getting a comment here. Kenya Doyo, karibu sana. Thank you so much. A quick comment here coming from Liora Albalumi. And Liora says, would love to see you do a side-by-side comparison. One success stories versus struggle stories. Looking at what was different. Same dream, different outcomes. What made the difference? That would be powerful content. Thank you so much. And we're looking for success stories. So Liora, if you have a success story, feel free to inbox us and let us know. We're going to get started right away. We have so much to cover tonight. Now, for many in the diaspora, the idea of going back home feels like a return. But what if it's actually a second immigration that most people are completely unprepared for? From illusions of a dollar advantage to hidden rules of survival and the quiet struggles people don't talk about. Tonight we break down what really determines whether you thrive or fail when you go back home, and why so many diasporans realize the challenge only when it's too late. Now, joining us in a minute is Kimani, a reverse diaspora returnee from Arizona who moved back to Kenya after 22 years in the US. He spent over 5 years on the ground and then quietly made his way back to the US under circumstances that left many with more questions than answers. His viral call on this show 2 weeks ago shook timelines as he challenged the idea of going back home, arguing that many diasporans are not returning but stepping into a system that they don't fully understand. So tonight we go deeper, trying to understand if Kimani is describing a harsh truth that many are afraid to admit, or if this is an outlier experience shaped by his own personal journey. But the bigger question tonight is, are you ready to hear the truth, or will you keep holding on to the romantic fantasy of village sunsets and the dollar privilege? So if you've ever thought about moving back to Kenya, or believe you already understand how things there work, this episode might completely disrupt how you think. So without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please drop an emoji in the comment section and help me in welcoming the mysterious, the bold, and the unapologetic Kimani, all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. Kimani, karibu sana to the One Mic Show. It's great having you as a guest. How are you feeling?
Cheers, man.
Okay. All right,
Living
good.
the life.
Okay, good. Now, how has life been for you since that viral call you made on the One Mic Show 2 weeks ago? Kimani.
That call, you know, it was a knee-jerk reaction of listening to your previous few weeks of shows plus that one. when we kept talking about going back, and that word going back just kept coming and bothering me. I said, I gotta call and kind of put this myth to the side. So I called, and since then, there's been a lot of follow-up conversations on that concept. A lot of some guys who went through similar experiences, some who are still thriving. And so for some reason, it became a very hot topic. So glad to elaborate further.
Okay, but what is it that bothered you about that word going back? What exactly bothered you that prompted you to give us a call?
The unpreparedness of what the idea of going back is. I think going back means something, returning to a familiar situation, familiar ground, familiar relationship. You're going back. Kenya, after 22 years being away, I learned is not a question of going back. There's just so much that you've lost in 22 years that it's a false belief to think you're going back. You would be better prepared if you said, I'm going to Kenya. That way, mentally, you're kind of on your toes. Whatever comes, you'll adjust. But when you go say you're going back, you have a false comfort. And then the shock in the system hits you. And that's when you start realizing, oh, this is not the Kenya I knew.
Okay, now, before I introduce the panel, there were so many reactions that followed that were even very unexpected and shocking for us. What is it that shocked you the most about the reactions, that you got when the video of yours we posted on YouTube, it went viral and everyone was calling everywhere? What shocked you the most about some of the reactions that you came across?
The reactions were very honest. And I think to a lot of people, there's been a desire to put the record straight. And for whatever reason, they haven't done so. And so when I said what I said, there was a lot of people who said, yeah, dude, spot on. I mean, you nailed it. And that's an experience that many people have. But then there was also one comment I saw that kind of cracked me up and said, I'm probably a person who's used to the easy life and mwanaume effort.
Okay.
That's one thing you hear a lot when you're in Kenya. Mwanaume effort.
Okay.
You make it happen and you move on. And I agree with that. There's nothing that can't be achieved. There's nothing that can't be done. It's an economy that can offer lots of possibilities. But I think the challenges come when you mix other things into what is you're involved with, whether it's family, whether it's city lifestyle, whether it's aging parents. All these things kind of play a role, and then kind of they set your priorities.
Okay, thank you so much. And we're going to come back to you, Kimani. But in a quick minute right now, I want to, get to the panel. Before we get to the panel, I can see Victor Oma is already tuned in on YouTube. Victor Oma, you're the one who started this all the way from Toronto, Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Asema, hi, guys. And let us know what you think in the comments, what questions you want us to ask Kimani tonight. Feel free to type in the comments. This is a Fungua Roho session, and this is the People's Kamkunji. So on to the panel. I'm going to start with DJ Omosh Fire right here beside me. In a quick minute, Omosh, what caught your attention from Kimani's live call on the show 2 weeks ago when we were on the phone, just when he was talking? What is it that caught your attention the most? DJ Omosh Fire, karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you, Ali. Thanks, Kimani, for gracing us with your presence. Thanks for coming back to face the People's Kamkunji and the fire that is the Kamkunji. So, on that call, I think, to be honest, Ali, I was still, I don't know if I'm saying I was in shock or I was still absorbing the information. It was a lot that was unpacked in, I think, was it a 22 minutes?
22 minutes.
That call was 22 minutes.
It was only 20. It was actually less than 22 minutes. I think it was 20 because the full video was 25 minutes. There was an intro and then there was the exhaling after the conversation because it hit us like, hit us hard.
Kwani tulikuwa tumelala.
It hit us like kokoto.
So the different aspects, there were so many places that he went, dealing with Famo, dealing with Jobo, reality ya life, soft life, landing, and then ile ya pap, job, gone, now, G, sort. and then you begin, I guess, phase 2 of life, as you know or didn't know it, and then you're trying to adjust and trying to come up and also make sense of what's going. There was a whole lot of things that were going on. But I think to me also the other one thing that did stand out was he was not saying, don't go back home, just go back home with your antennas on. Make sure that kuna blinders kama zile za race horses, and make sure that you adjust, prepare, and again adjust.
Okay.
And kuna kakitu alisema sijui honeymoon honeymoon nangoa.
Honeymoon face.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting that people had different things. I mean, for me, from what I heard, and I've listened to that call like 17 times, and I'm not even making this up. What I got is that Kimani was saying, I went through a dark alley at a certain bad time, and I got mugged. But if you have to go through that alley, here are the rules if you do not want to get mugged. But all that people had is, do not go completely through that alley, even if it's the route to your home. So I think different people had different things. So today we are out here to break down everything. Let me go to Mika Och. And Mika, in a quick minute, what caught your attention from Kimani's live call on the show 2 weeks ago? Mika.
There's something that is usually said, that there's nobody who can tell your story better than yourself. And the rawness in which he spoke and how he explained things, it wasn't a thing of speculations. It was to the point right now, this is what I know will never allow me. I will never think to go back because of A, B, C, D. This is, I went, this is what I did, this is how it happened, and this is how things come back, right? So there's that you can hear in it and you can understand. And as you said, Ali, the problem with most people is that when most people find somebody who dampens their dream or their shining light, they don't want to understand why that shadow is there. They start fighting it. So most people understand, like he said, don't go. He did say, don't go. He said, I went, this is what I experienced. You can either learn from my experience or you can go the way you want to go. The choice is yours, but he spoke his experience.
Okay.
Back to you, Ali.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mika. We already have a caller. Calls are coming in early. So caller, be patient. We want to go to the first question and then we are going to reach out to you. And Karibu Sana Ateno Jimbo here on Facebook saying, is asking a question, if going back after 22 years, were there visits between the 22 years? If it's the latter, then there's no issue with using the phrase going back. And we're going to get back to Kimani with that. And also another question from Washeke. What are the 5 major blind spots? Wow, 5. Yani Washeke akona mpaka number. What are the 5 major blind spots diasporans have when it relates to moving back to Kenya? We are gonna get to that part, Washeke. But I also want to welcome Mubelwa Bandio, our regular, fundi wa mitambo Uno Mike is missing in action, so Mubelwa is in place. Bila permission. Yes, and Mubelwa, of course, has been in the middle of this conversation, has listened to it keenly multiple times. So Mubelwa, karibu sana. From what you listened and your experience nchini Tanzania, is it the same experiences ama uligongwa na kitu ambacho hujawahi kusikia before? Karibu sana Mubelwa.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kimani, for this. It's the same experience, pretty much. I think it was 3 years ago. I went back home and I met this guy who is he's doing pretty well. He's a business person and then turned politician, and now it's like a regional commissioner back home, right? Mm-hmm. And when we're having a conversation about moving back or going to invest, and he's like, if you want to do that, make sure you do it now. Don't wait until everybody else in your network has retired, and that's another thing. So come now if you want to do it while you still have a chance to try, do try and error. Or, take a risk. And I think during that conversation, we were talking about people who seem to do well, or at least accept the situation, and those who cannot come back, whether they were deported or something. That's the level of risk they are willing to take. When you know that you have to fight, it's like there's no turning back. It's pretty much like climbing a tree, knowing that you don't have harness.
Yeah.
You're more careful doing that than when you know that, you're strapped and everything. So it's almost the same experience. Going back, I'm not sure if I'll get into the debate of whether I'll call that going back or just visiting, but it's totally different. And it's different. I think those who went between, let's say, 1990s to 2010, maybe up to 2015, the change was not as rapid as it is now. If you were home three years ago, going back right now, it's like everything has changed, right? And with East African countries, unfortunately, not right now, we are into deeper shitstorm of governance or development than ever before. And we are not into what you can. It's not about what you can do. It's not about your brain experience, expertise, whatever. It's who knows who. You can take everything. Now you're out in Tanzania. Right?
Okay, I was about to ask.
Yes,
Kama
even in
TZ.
TZ.
is in TZ.
Oh, yeah, big time right now.
Okay.
So success is not only on efforts and everything. It's more about networking, and actually, I would say illegal networking.
Illegal networking.
Yes.
Okay.
Si hata America, sinaona hadi sekana kazi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Sawa sawa. I know we already have a caller, but we're going to be releasing the number a bit later on. We're going to give you a chance, caller. But real quick, before we go back to Kimani, a number of comments here have been coming in. I can see Hanigal Njeri on YouTube. Karibu sana. Anasema hi, gents. And Victor Oma is asking, when is Mika coming to the studio live? Very good question. Hiyo hapo tutadiscuss baadaye.
Jibu live.
Yes, and then Hanigal Njeri anasema one mic amemaliza sick time by now, tumweke PIP. I agree kabisa with Hanigal Njeri. He needs to start paying the company for this extra sick time that he's taking. And then G3954 anasema when he said he is not going back to Kenya, I can say colonization is complete to him and the others who say they will never go back.
Wow,
and then
that's a little strong.
And then hapa Hosilando anasema great perspective Bandio. Thank you so much. Again, you're tuned into the One Mic Show, and we have Kimani. The mystery is broken. He's live with us tonight, and we will be talking about like the live call that he made last week that shook timelines. Now, Kimani, I want to come back to you, and this is also going to relate a little bit to Asheke's question that about blind spots, but before that, or rather Atieno Jimbo's questions about whether you are going back and forth within those 22 years that you were in the US before you finally moved to Kenya. But after 22 years in the US, Kimani, when you made that move in 2013, did it actually feel like you were going back home? And I know this again is now go back there, now in hindsight. Because remember last week you said you wish the One Mic Show was there in 2013. So when you were going in 2013, did it feel like going back home? Kimani?
Yeah. First part of the question. Yes, I was going back. Maybe not as often as I would have liked. I came in 91. I was home in 2001, 2002, and 2009. So there was going back and forth for various reasons here and there. And so in going back in 2013, in my mind, I was going back. And this is something I'd been toying around with since about 2002. I had tried to get into one of those interviews. I think the firm was called Careers in Africa. They used to have interviews in London and other places for multinationals looking to send guys back home. So I'd been toying around with the idea of going back since 2002. So by the time I was going in 2013, I was all in. I didn't leave anything behind to tie me to coming back. I gave away or sold anything I could give away. The rest was put in a container, and it was a one-way trip. And my thinking was, alas, we are done. We are settling in, and we're going to make the best of it. So at that time, yes, it was an idea of going back. and then slowly the reality of how misleading that concept is after being so removed from everyday life, working life, family life, the whole 9 yards. That became more and more of a reality of, yeah, you are definitely not prepared for this.
Now, I think one of the things that triggered people the most is when you say that, you no longer have a desire to go back to Kenya. And of course, this is your experience and your story. Someone here is even saying, when he said he's not going back to Kenya, I can say colonization is complete to him, and others who say they will never go back. And you further said that to you going to Kenya feels like going to Fiji or Vietnam or Dubai. It's a foreign place. Maybe talk a little bit about that so that people can understand where you're coming from. Because I was triggered too. Unajua mi bado niko romantic face. So I was a bit triggered too when you said that.
Uko honeymoon ama romantic?
No, I'm not honeymoon, bado sijafika. I'm still in the romantic face.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kimani.
The reality of Kenya let's put it this way. First of all, the whole idea of going to Kenya should be one you evaluate as you would anything else in life, whether that's an investment, whether that's a spouse, family life, where you're going to buy a house, the whole 9 yards. It needs to be a realistic approach, not a romantic idea or nostalgia of this is where I was born, this is where I grew up, I love Kenya, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, that is very misleading because you will make very bad judgment errors because you're not really thinking with your full head. You've got some emotion tied to it, and that's never a good deal. You almost have to remove the emotion out of it as you consider going back. So then we get to the question of how do I look at going back or relocating there? At the time I moved there, my kids were 2.5 and 4.5. At that time, the environment and the reality that hit me and the things I had to deal with, whether it's school fees, rent, trying to, get some gainful employment or whatever, all that was a bit much. And I honestly gave it my best in terms of not even thinking that I still had an American passport and I can come back at any time. Like I said, to me, going was a one-way process and I never expected to come back. But the reality of it changed things for me in terms of what it is I would like to go through ever again. It's like going to a restaurant, I guess. You go to a restaurant, you had a bad experience, you waited too long, the food came, it was not as good as you thought it would be, it was expensive. The bad experience leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And maybe you're not likely to go back to that restaurant. Who knows, down the road, there's a change in management, maybe you hear some interesting reviews, you'll try it again. Kenya, I would still do again, definitely not as a family man. Now we can talk about post-retirement, and I'm not looking to make a living. I'm not trying to make income. All my income or investments or whatever is based elsewhere. And now I can just go as a tourist. It's a hell of a place as a tourist. It's a hard place to live when you have to pay that rent, when you have to pay school fees, etc. Because the reality of Kenya is that some costs are constant. That fees will have to be paid or your kid is home. The rent, the water, the whatever. But on the other side of that equation, the income side is always delayed. One is immediate at the end of the month, the other is delayed. And that gap, filling that gap, will take a lot out of you. So that was my experience with that process. In years to come, like I said, when I'm a retired guy, I could choose to call that home. But for now, I enjoy going places. I travel. If I was to evaluate somewhere I'm going on vacation, going to Kenya is just as similar as going to Fiji or Hawaii or wherever. It's not an emotional decision for me anymore. I don't do the annual visit or whatever. The last time I was there was 2019. And the next time I'll likely be there is, I don't know, maybe in 2 years.
It's okay. We'll welcome you to Rusinga.
Okay, so now before we go to the caller, be patient. We're gonna get to you. Kimani, do you think diasporans underestimate how much they've changed or how much Kenya has changed whenever they're making these decisions? Now, just in hindsight, looking at your situation and what you're hearing currently, Kimani.
Definitely, we underestimate so much. I remember in the early 2000s, there was still a strong push for multinationals to hire guys in the diaspora and come back and work in Africa. And it was supposed to be a very fitting win-win situation for multinationals and folks going back home. That thinking changed over time since the early 2000s. I spoke to a guy at Ernst & Young, who was a senior recruiter, and he said companies ended up investing so much in people coming back. They would move you, they'll hire you, they'll pay you more, they'll be this. But then you come and, 6 months later, you guys have decided to go back to wherever you were abroad because, the potholes, the water, the unreliable electricity, lifestyle was just too much. And the companies weren't getting, bang for their buck. So they started shifting their thinking towards more local folks. And the universities were graduating a lot more people than when I was done in high school. There was a lot more kids graduating and very smart kids and very capable guys. So then that whole idea of getting that guy who's going to come and say 6 months later, nimechoka, the mindset shifted. So it was a shock to me that was so pronounced because you coming in from abroad, you are the underdog. The likelihood that you are going to be picked for any position was unlikely.
Yeah.
And that was shocking. That was shocking.
Okay. All right. Good. You're tuned into the One Mic Show. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Of course, on set today via Zoom, we have Kimani all the way from Arizona, Reverse Diaspora Returnee. I think we're the ones who coined that phrase, so if anyone, ever makes money out of it, please, give us at least 50%. But
sinyi mulienda study sasa
yes.
muna reverse calls
we are reverse engineering here. Yeah. So before we go to the caller, let me just read a few comments here coming in from Facebook. Liora Alba Lumi. No, before Liora, let me see. Sambaza Anasema is here, listening from Forney, Texas. Karibu sana Sambaza. And then we also have James Plotty Anasema watching from Dallas, Texas. Man, Texas always representing in the building. Thank you so much, Texas. And then Ron Fwasi Anasema, a shocking statement Kimani made. In Kenya, contracts mean nothing. There were so many shocking statements. Yeah, I mean, these things, that video will become a classic. I'm telling you, 50 years from now.
Can it be a course?
Our kids and grandkids will be listening to it. It could be. It was almost like a literary piece. That you could study it, because like I said, we cannot even finish everything in one episode.
But that will depend if there'll be one term or two terms, because things could get fixed.
Okay.
It's a political.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to the comments. Also on YouTube, caller, we are coming to you.
This guy.
On YouTube, Baba Gitonga anasema the process of going back depends on what your age bracket is. 30s, 40s, you're looking at schools and a job. 50, looking at comfort and hospitals. And then Osiolando anauliza tuongee Kiswahili leo. Baba Gitonga tena anasema going back is a 10-year process. Start now to go back in 2036. You should have something, you should have running business or income by the time you go back. You don't go look for a job, spend in shillings and not in dollars. And then Victor Oma anasema Kimani napenda articulation. Kisungu nayo. And then hapa Mutahi anasema, by the way, would you recommend carrying all your stuff in a container? Ama sell, toss, and go start again. We are going to get to the 5-year phase that Kimani recommended. I'm telling you, that 22-minute call was like, it was a masterpiece. And I'm not just saying because I agree with everything that Kimani said. I think it was in the delivery. It was delivered so succinct and so precisely. We're going to get to that. And then Baba Gitonga hapa anasema Kimani was unprepared. 20 years and you are looking for a job. Very unserious.
You're very unserious,
Baba Gitonga is telling you very
This
unserious.
Kimani, very unserious. I'm with Baba Kitonga.
And then Iran Dunda anasema looking forward, wenye masikio wasikie, it's tricky. Hope is this Gen Zs and Sifuna might change things in the long run.
You see?
Good for them.
What did I
Lakini it's the best place for Mwenjoyo on point kabisa. And then G3954.
By the way, hold on. Ira
Yeah.
is also a returnee.
Okay, it's also a return.
As in alirudi
yeah.
Kenya and went back.
Reverse returnee. Call a reverse returnee.
He's that one.
Reverse returnee.
He's that one. Na yeye
Yes.
pia alisema I'm not going back.
Okay, all right. Ira, tell us your story hapo kwa comments. And then G anasema when all Kenyans that moved abroad had systems already in place, if they had moved abroad and found it as Kenya is today, they would have gone back. Everyone wants a system that is working, but they don't want to build that system. It is hard. Guess was so abroad in 1800. Hapo sijaelewa. G, tueleze vizuri. Would you have moved to the US during slavery or was Kenya better? And then Hosilando anasema watu wa Boston wapewe shout out. Boston karibuni sana. Next week sub farm say hello to Tony. Watu wa Boston, drop a comment, let us know where you're tuned from.
Kuna wawili hapo already.
Yes.
What a Boston.
Okay, now we're gonna come to the Facebook comments a bit later, but we have a caller. We have a very early caller. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak.
Say in
Of course,
Swahili.
you're tuned in to the One Mic Show hapa ni Kilimanjaro studio. Nambari ni 202-683-4570. Now, again, number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Let's go to the caller.
Caller nambari 9582. Welcome to One Mic Show.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from, please, caller.
Karibu.
Welcome to the One Mic Show. Hello, caller.
Okay.
Wamerezi mkono.
Yes.
Okay.
There is a caller.
Okay,
Maybe
caller
they've
going
been-
once.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from, caller.
Yes. 9582.
Hello, amekuja na tanga.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yes, caller. Tell
Hello,
us your
this is Alan.
yeah. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
yes,
you.
yes. We
This
can
is
hear you.
Alan Okot. I'm calling from Kansas City, Missouri.
Talk to us, Alan, from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, me, I have the story for you guys. So,
Okay.
first thing I have to say about going to Kenya is you have to realize we love Kenya, all of us, but Kenya doesn't love us back.
Oh,
Okay.
Tell,
So
tell,
if
me,
you-
tell me more.
Yeah,
That is
because
a very
when you
serious
go back
accusation.
there, you are almost a threat to the people you're going back to. I am a physician. Kimani there has been my friend for 35 years. We're in primary school together.
So,
Almost there knows the story. We've been together for a while. And I went back in
Panama.
2013. And I'm a physician here in the U.S. I've been a physician for a very long time. So I went. I was going to give back. I gave up a nice job, dragged my family through all this stuff. I was going to give back. I took the pay cut. I was ready. And I had someone asking about shipping your stuff. I took a 40-foot high container. That's what they call it. We put everything we had to go to Kenya. We put in even bikes. We put in a treadmill. We carried spices. We carried deodorant, everything to go to Kenya. And I shipped my family. And 2013, I stayed back 1 year to make sure there was nothing left. My wife went in, put the kids in school. Everything was set, bought a car. Then I came. And I had a whole bunch of money in my hands because I cashed my retirement. And I'm telling you, within a year and a half, that cash I had, I can't talk about how much it was. It was finished.
Wow.
Because, first of all, the pay cut is astronomical. Kimani talked about schools. I put my kids to Aga Khan. They were small. Well, one went to some school in Parklands, I can't remember, and then I had two in Aga Khan nursery. So my fees for kids every term was 800,000.
Wow.
Now I got a good at that time I didn't have a job, so I got them there. I would run back here, work a couple of months, go back. Run a couple of months, go back. That's what I did. And when I was at MP Shah, I can tell you. So eventually I got a job at MP Shah. I'll tell you guys a story of getting a license in Kenya. When I got the job at MP Shah, I was getting excellent money. In fact, if I was ever told I would be able to make that kind of money in Kenya, I'd be like, it's impossible. I was the deputy. The deputy of the Women's Health Department in MP Shah, and I'm telling you, people fought with me so much because everyone there thought I'd been deported for some reason. Because why are you coming to fight for this Marupurupu with us guys? If you are doing very well in the US, why would you come back? So I came with a few techniques of surgery to present to the people and to show people. I'm telling you, only 2 or 3 people were interested. Everyone I was dealing with thought I was trying to steal from them. It was a competition to run after our patients. You'd think that we want to help people who need women's help, but women's I'm our obstetrician. Minimal invasive surgery, this and that. I was stealing. Why am I bringing these techniques here? What exactly am I trying to show these people? I want to steal their patients. They fought me so hard. The rumor in MP Shah was this guy was deported. He's coming here to fight. I was fighting such an uphill battle. Eventually, I had to leave MP Shah. And luckily, because of a few connections I have, I won't mention, but I was able to get into Nairobi Hospital. Nairobi Hospital is the most difficult place to get in, even if you went to Harvard, even if you went to Yale. You can't get in. But to me, I got in. But I have stories I can tell which I would bring a patient, schedule them for surgery. I would come in and the patient didn't show up. Then I would assume, she changed her mind. Hey, patient comes and sees me 3 weeks later. Oh, I had my surgery. When I came in for my pre-op visit, I was told, you are just like a young guy who's aggressive from the U.S. And they diverted me to this doctor, and this doctor did my surgery. I can't even say names. I was fighting an uphill battle for so long, I eventually just said, okay, let me exercise my rights over here. I went into private practice. I was making a fifth of what I can make here in the U.S. And then one day I said to myself, the years I can make money, the years I can build my retirement, build my family, what am I doing making a fifth of what I can make? And I came back to the U.S. And I'm telling you, this is, I left in 2013-14. I came back 2019. The reception I got from the old job, the reception I got from other places was so good that I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I thought the reception would be best at home. It was much better coming back here. There's a YouTube video called Mansions of Pakistan, which is, I share with a lot of people. If someone hasn't watched it, you have to see it. About some people who left their home in the 50s from Pakistan and came to the U.S. Went to Norway. There are 4 or 5 people. And these people came and they were going to make money and then build mansions in Pakistan. And they did, all 5 of them. But every one of them who tried to go back, you met with people calling you, people looking down on you, people mugging you. They all came back to Pakistan and they're all welcomed back in this foreign land. Because even the Bible says, if you want to be respected, if you want to do well, you have to go to the land of strangers. That's where you'll be accepted and loved. In your own home, the people, your own brothers, your own relatives, they fight you so hard. So my experience in Kenya is, it's like going to do an MBA. You go to do an MBA in Wharton. After 2 or 3 years, you finish your MBA, and you have this MBA. So you can stay in Wharton and work and take a huge pay cut, or you leave Wharton, go to another place, and do your business. So Kenya is like getting an MBA. Once you've gotten your MBA with the returnee, then you come back. But make sure when you leave here, do not close your doors. Me, I kept my house in Philadelphia. I kept my credit going. I kept some money here. So when me, my wife, and 3 kids were coming back, when they landed here, it was plug and play. My wife was shocked. I took her from the airport, and I went and showed her, that's the house you're going to buy. I just need you to say yes. But I had planned for that return for about 3 years. So that is my 2 cents.
Okay.
And also remember that the one thing I have to say, where I say we love Kenya, but Kenya doesn't love us. This is the last thing I'm going to say. When I was trying to get my license to practice in Kenya, I'd already been attending physician for 9 years. Here, I'm recognized, what, good. So I was working with Samaritan's Pass, which is an NGO that sends, doctors from the U.S. over there. And in Samaritan's Pass, I went in as an American citizen. So I had expatriate status, So I met a lady over there, a pediatrician. She told me, I went to Kijambe, I worked there. It's very good. It should be very easy for you because it took me 3 months to get a license there. It was a lovely country, but so me, I was told American, it took her three months, to get the license. I should get it in 3 weeks, in a week and a half. It took a year and a half to get that license.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, my wife is correct. It took me almost 3 years to get. I left here end of 2013. I got my license in 2015, 2016.
Wow. Okay.
And I did not even get an interview. So when I went I won't mention names. I went to the board. I said, I'm just wondering, why is it I can't even get a peer review to see if I know what I'm doing? The person who is there, who's a very, a minister, I don't know if he's still a minister now, he told me, you come here from America thinking you're better than us. You'll never practice in Kenya.
Wow.
And I will tell you guys how I practice. I will not get an interview. How I practice in Kenya is this. I know certain someone who knew a certain someone who knew Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
There we go.
That's follow that channel 3 ways.
Okay.
For him to tell these guys to give me my license. So that's how I got my license.
Okay.
Now, Alan.
Not because of my merit.
Yes.
Not because of anything. But that's how I got it.
Okay. Now, Alan.
I have a question.
Your story is also very epic, and you live in Philadelphia, which is less than 3 hours from where this studio is. I know you know exactly what that means.
You used to live.
in Kansas City.
Or now you're in Kansas City. Or used to live in Philadelphia. Okay, fair enough. But Zoom is just like a click away. So you know what that means. But before we let you go, Mubelo has a quick question.
Yeah, Mubelo has questions.
Yes,
questions.
Before we go back to Kimani, our guest.
I think this is the question for both of them. For Dr. Allen and Kimani. First of all, thanks, Dr. Allen, for that. 2 things here. I think you say that when you go back to Kenya, make sure you keep things open over here, right? And my question is, how much is this complaint or this take is because of the perspective? What you really thought of, or having that ability of coming back? Because I know if you were deported,
it would
have
be
been different. So do you think somehow people are getting into this kind of, I don't want to call them complaint, because of them having that luxury of coming back, or what?
When you say complaint, what do you mean by complaint?
I mean, it's all this stuff. I mean, imagine if they were not able to come back, if they were deported, right? Okay. You'll have either to face it, find another way of tackling the issue, or go around the system or shit system, however we call it, to make it work. So question number 1 was, do you think this was because of how you perceived things are going to be over there? And 2, if you can, give me 1 or 2 things that you really wish ungeleta US from Kenya.
Okay. I think if I was not able to come back to Kenya. I would have gone into survival mode, and I would have had no choice and make things work.
Okay.
That's what most Kenyans do. Things are tight, you can't come back, you make it work. So instead of always looking at, because, when I was in Kenya, I'm getting nothing. I'm looking at my paycheck. I'm like, dude, I can make this in 2 days in the US. I always got emails from jobs. Oh, I see how much they're offering, and then I see what I'm making in MPSHA. I was like, dude, is this really worth it? So if I had no choice, I probably would have stayed in there and have made it work. But remember, all of us came here because things were not working in Kenya. I don't know about you guys. Me, after high school, I was called to, Maseno University to do agriculture. But I didn't make the grade to do medicine. So now agriculture, I couldn't go to Maseno. I'm a Nairobi guy, and I went to high.
We're going kulima tu.
I went to Hakuna shida na kulima. Applied biology, and I was trying to find a way. So things did not work from jump for me. Yeah. When I came here, I was in Maryland, ended up doing my bachelor's there. I found my way to go. It was receptive, and things were falling nicely for me to go into med school. So I went to med school in Philly. That's why I ended up in Philly. But what we experiences here, our what we'd like to take back to Kenya.
No, from Kenya to US.
Business, all the stuff you wanted to take back to Kenya, it's not really receptive. It's because people are hungry. We are a culture of deals, and you can't do anything straight. My wife went into manufacturing, and she was making all these organic juices that she had learned. They're called cold pressed juices, where you press them, you still and you have good juices. To produce that thing, she was doing it in Kiambu. To get a license to produce cold pressed juice and sell it, you need a Nairobi license to sell it. You need a Kiambu license to manufacture it in Kiambu and ship it there. There's no way of making money. To me, I don't know how people legitimately make money in Kenya. Me, I would like to invest in something that legitimately makes money in Kenya, because I could not see it. Well, I'll even tell you guys this. We even had a friend of ours who had a car, not a mine, what are they called? A quarry in Thika. We invested into the quarry to make money. The numbers were right. We set everything right. I got some of the money I had from the US. I put it in that quarry business. Do you know why we could not make money? Because we could not protect the quarry at night. And everyone we hired to protect that was selling stones. So we cut the stones in the evening. We want to sell them. By the time you come back in the morning, they're stolen. And he said they're thinking Askaris here. Who would come into the quarry in Thika at night and take these stones?
Wow.
And that was one problem. Second problem, you have an order for stones in Karen from Thika. Let me tell you, to get those stones from Thika to Karen, the amount of money used to bribe cops, this, that. By the time you're a stone which you would have sold maybe for 600 shillings, you have to sell it at 1,200 to make money because of all the bribing. We could not make money legitimately, and it was a business we could be making millions per month, but we could not do it because the environment isn't ready for legit business. I don't know how people do it. I really don't.
Okay, all right, Alan. Let me put it this way. You also have an epic story, and I like these stories. And we are getting attacked by some forces. We are being told that we are not challenging what people are saying, but I keep telling people we haven't lived in Kenya for 5 years. Personally, the most I've been in Kenya is 6 weeks. In the more than 20 years I've been in the US.
Yeah, you've never spent a month in Kenya. 6 weeks.
I have done 6 weeks. I have done 6 weeks.
Niko na passport yako.
At least I have done 6 weeks. So
I have a question here that I want to ask.
So yes.
Mika, hold on.
Yeah. So Alan, we will get back to you and we need to have an episode with you because I think we want to have multiple experiences, and we also have put it out there. We also want success stories.
Those who have not returned, those who left
those who have not returned
and stayed.
And by success stories, there's a criteria. You lived in the US for at least 15 years. You've been in Kenya for at least 10 years, and you had the option of coming back to the US, meaning you are not deported or you did not go bila makaratasi. And also, you did not go to inherit daddy's business. Yeah.
So you are not like Kimani, basically.
Yes. Yeah, so okay. if you know any of that type of person, please let us know.
Yeah.
Mika, real quick, so that we can get back to Kimani.
My question is to Alan.
Yes.
Or not to Alan, even Kimani can answer it. It's just a question that I think going through back, they say hindsight is 2020. When you go and start rewatching the episodes and you're reading the comments of people who come and watch later, and usually people who have conversations in the comments down there, you find a different perspective. So, and I've heard from Alan's story. Alan said that he prepared for a year. Wife went, set the base, they got a house, set kids there. He stayed back, made sure everything is set. Like he did everything that you would do correctly, is tying loose ends over here, making sure there's a base over there where you're getting landing spot is soft and everything. But then the question that I want to ask, and I've been thinking about it, when we go back home, and you're going back home, we have been working in a work culture that's unique in itself. It's nowhere in the world. You'll never find the same work culture as what's in America. Do we prepare ourselves for the Kenyan work culture? Or do we just go expecting that the work culture is the same? And then that is when the conflicts come and it leads to the path that we lead. Because I might call out something that is normal to me.
From my buddy Kimani. So the work culture is relative to where you are. Here the work culture is because if I go to work, in 2 weeks I'll get my money and that's it.
True.
Like Kimani had said, let me tell you can work in Kenya with all the best work culture you have and get squat. Dude, I have done, let me just count right now, at least I know 3 C-sections for a doctor who was sick, could not make it. I delivered their baby. The payment was made, and I got zilch out of it. I have sat with a laboring patient at Coptic Church for 12 hours till she labored, did everything. Her doctor could not make it. The guy did not give. So we agree. Dr. So-and-so, you can't let me do this one for you. Just give me maybe 3K, 5K, something. The guy I do a C-section, he gets 150,000. He's paid. The guy doesn't pay me. I can tell you I have lost millions of free work because that work culture, someone, his work is only as good as their integrity. Big names, I dare not mention them. Do something for them, see their patient, do their surgery. I'm going to give you, I'll give you. And then the guy is paying you in the corridors. Can you imagine that? I can't even dare mention his name. In Nairobi Hospital, he's paying me and he sees me, we've gone for a meeting, the guy is dipping me. So work culture is based on what? It's based on where you are. Kenya, people are hungry and people know that when you will make money is if I cool at this part.
Yes,
Here,
so my question...
It's a little different because we're not as hungry as we are in Kenya.
So my question is this, and you've explained it totally well. You used to work with integrity, right? Like if I tell you cover me on this, I'm going to obviously appreciate it. I'm going to pay you back in some kind of way because that is how the system that is working here. Now, when you go back and you find a system like this one, and you've said especially people who you wouldn't expect them to do such things, especially based out of their reputation in the field and out there. So, is it something that? And so my question is that: is it something that most of us walk into it blindly, and it just breaks us down so badly that we can't recover from it. That's what I'm saying. We don't prepare for the work culture. We don't try to research and see how things work. Like we go there, we accept that we are grown ups. Kila mtu ni mtu mkubwa hapa, kila mtu anakuja kufanya kazi yake atengeneze pesa. But when you get in there, things go differently. Is it one of can we attribute to that is one of the things that will break you to a point that you say, I'm done with this place? And is it something that most people will, especially those who look forward to working to Kenya, should take into consideration that where you're going, it's a jungle, it's not nowhere where you're coming from? Because we tell people to plan on where to live. We tell people to plan on where to live, where to stay. We tell people to plan on income, but do we tell them about how they're going to operate in work?
All right, Alan, 1 minute, and then we want to go back to Kimani now. Alan.
Yes.
Alan still there? Okay.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So me, I think that
yes.
We don't live in Kenya, you don't know the culture in Kenya, and you don't know how things work in Kenya. So for you to say I'm going back to a system you don't know, you've not been hungry there, you've not been conned there, you've not been mugged there, it just doesn't make any sense. Me, I think the only way to survive in Kenya is if you do either what I did, you go with 1 foot there and 1 foot ready to come back, or you go there and you never want to come back. Say, I'm going to make it work at all costs. So you learn the schemes, you learn how to cooler people, and then you just fit into that system.
Okay.
Because, and the worst thing where my good friend Kimani I don't agree with is going back to Kenya during your retirement. If I tell you guys the medical system in Kenya and what you expect, I mean, at the time when you are 65 and you have high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, and even that's not the time you want to be in Kenya. You can't afford it. First of all, insurance won't take you. Second of all, I'm telling you, you can have just one blood pressure attack in Kenya. If you go to Mpisha, it's 1.2 million. Will changa for you for the first time. After that, you won't. And also remember, those of us who are in the U.S., if you have Social Security, medical assistance, anything that covers you for, diseases like cancer, something that is not curable, the minute you leave the U.S., if you've got more than 30 days, they stop payment. You can get your own Social Security, but you can't get medical assistance, Medicaid, and Social Security for terminal conditions.
Okay.
So it's at the time when you have a bad hip, is that the time you want to be running around in Nairobi Hospital? By the way, do you know how many ICU beds are truly in Kenya? You'd be surprised. They're less than 300. The others are step-down units.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to survive. You can't afford medical cover when you're in Kenya. No way.
Alan, will... yes.
I don't know how much money you need to have.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan...
Alan, about what it is you're asking for in Kenya. So, I think the worst time to be in Kenya is during retirement. You are on fixed income, and you're likely to be going to the hospital a lot. They'll mismanage your hypertension. They'll mismanage your diabetes unless you go to Aga Khan.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, I have admissions in Nairobi Hospital today, and I still pay for those dues. But if you are sick and you're on Ngong Road, Peter Nairobi Hospital, go to Nairobi West, go to Guru Nanak, go to Mpisha, but do not go to Nairobi Hospital.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
All right.
If there's anyone who would listen, don't go to Nairobi Hospital. Go. Just go to Guru Nanak, come to Avenue.
Okay.
You'll be better off.
Point taken. Alan from Kansas, Missouri, doctor, has given us his experience. And Alan, we're going to be in touch. We need to have a full episode because we want people with hard experiences, whether good or bad. So Alan, asante sana. Let me quickly drop back to Kimani and maybe just get your quick reaction before we proceed. And I think we also getting other callers, but let's go back to Kimani. So callers, be patient. Let's get back to Kimani, and then we're gonna proceed here. Kimani, reaction to what Alan just said.
Hey, that was heavy. That was a lot. But I wanted to get back to a question Micah asked about culture. Are we going back in there to embrace the culture and be part of that culture. You're willing, you're wanting, but as Alan said, you're the enemy. There's very many places I went and interviewed, and the feedback was always, oh, hujui vile tunafanya kazi hapa, which is French that you will come in and you and the high-minded ethical standards of America, Mazebana, you'll be stopping people to eat. And so very quickly, you become very undesirable. Not through any fault of your own, but it just is. The other thing to that question of culture is, we have lots of expatriates in Kenya. Are those guys ever asked that question? Are they coming to embrace the Kenyan culture and be part of the culture? Odiero, we take them as they are. And in fact, we're going to learn something from them. But the moment you become that Miro who went to the US and is now coming back, you're the enemy. And it becomes a big struggle. And then there was
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah.
My question was not telling you to adapt to the culture. My question was simple. My question was, when we're going back home, right? We tend to research and try to make bases about everything else, right? We cover all bases, right? And you mentioned something pretty well, right? An Odiero who's an expatriate will go to Kenya and will blend in ajiingize kabisa ajipoteze, right? But then you'll find they say when Miros go back home, we want to correct and we want to have a higher nini, like we want to maintain, and that's the thing. That was my question. Do we shoot ourselves on our foot by not being able to go and adapt ourselves to that culture? I'm not saying that we go at it, we embrace it and we accept it as a main way to know. I'm saying that when you go there, when we go there, when we decide to go there, do we go there with a different mindset of and start acting in a certain way? Just the way you said, they tell you that you're totally different. It is something that we carry within ourselves, that it has stuck to us to a point whereby it's known that that's how we're coming? And is it something that do we think about when we're thinking about moving and try to tone it down or not?
I think it's perception from the other end. We come ready and willing, but the perception from the other end is very different. There's a threat component, as Alan spoke about. You're coming to take someone's job, etc., all these things. But it's an unfair characterization of us when we go back. I used to be out here and I would marvel at the idea of, you'd see Indian kids, kids from the Middle East, kids from all over the place. When you go to school in Boston, the class is so diverse. And a lot of these kids would always go back home. And when they went back home, they were embraced. Whatever it is you learned there, we want more of that. And if we're doing something here, let's see how we can do it differently. Hey, you go to Kenya today, that's your story now. You Nianawuko, and you don't know how we do things here. And the culture has just shifted.
Okay.
And I think I forget his name, Mubelwa,
yes.
talking about connects.
Mm-hmm.
IBM used to have a system where on their phones, when you worked for IBM back in the day, you would have a way to see where you stand in the organizational chart. So like the CEO was 1, the guys below him were 2, the guys after that were 3. So if you're there 45 and you call a guy and you think the guy you're trying to call is Omosh, but the Omosh you know is also 45, then it goes to number 1, then you know you've made a mistake. I've always thought it's an interesting way of ranking your access to power or the people that make decisions. In Kenya, some of us out here, having believed about the whole idea of networking, we were very blessed in people we could call upon. If you needed to, I don't know, talk to the president, I don't have his number, never have, but it's one phone call away. That to get access to that level of person is one phone call away. And all the networks in the world and all this. And I think sometimes those networks also protect you. They just look at you, they're like, hey man, you're not gonna survive. Even if I put you in there, you're still not gonna survive. I once went for an interview at National Bank. Oh my goodness, that was something else. Those guys were running their own little shop there. And they were very comfortable in the way it's set up. and you all will be coming from wherever, and Kenyans are not very familiar with you. You go to Kenya, everyone wants to know, what's your name? Where do you go to school? Who are your friends? Where do you go to church? They're trying to vet you. I don't know we ever get to the point where guys have vetted you enough. They're like, okay, this guy is solid. Let's let him in. And that's the shock part, that you coming back are somehow of a threat and not a desirable person to help build everything. And then there's someone who said about, not being serious, coming to Kenya looking for a job. Well, Alan said it best. You have a desire to give back. Alan's specialty being a doctor, he thought he had some interesting knowledge and ways of doing things that would be beneficial to that environment. The desire to work in Kenya was one of those where, all else being equal, if fees were not an issue and everything, I could work for free, because it's just, we love that country so much. But the love, as Alan says, hey, you're on your own, man. You go there and pull your own strings and try and make it work. And that's just the harsh reality.
Okay. All right. Good. We have another caller, but before we go to the caller, Kimani, there was something that you said on a live call on the show that was 2 weeks ago. You said something so powerful that it's been living rent-free in my head. You said that the honeymoon feast lasts as long as what took you there still holds. Maybe tell us, what exactly did you mean by that? For those who were not tuned in 2 weeks ago.
The honeymoon state, if let's say you are working for IBM in the US and you got a position where you could work remote from Kenya, and you kept your IBM dollar salary and you moved back, and all else held equal, the standard of living in Kenya is such that the dollar goes further. That's just a reality. For as long as that IBM job exists, life is great. You're in the honeymoon phase. It's beautiful. But the moment that IBM job drops, and now you have to find a way to make ends meet, or find a way to pay bills, and now you have to go look for a comparative job or something that would be as lucrative as what you had, even to some extent, even half of what it is you were doing before. That's when the real Kenya starts. That's when it starts biting. And then it becomes a question of, how long do you go through that process? I read an interesting comment from someone since that call, and they say they did it for 4 months. They were in the honeymoon phase for 4 months, and whatever job they were doing ended.
Wow.
And the reality of what next, the person, and I congratulate them for this, they were bold enough to bolt at that point. Kenya has this thing of always looking like, you know what, there's like a thing you're working on. It's coming through. Just give it another 3 months, another 6 months. A year goes by, 2. Hey, my friend, at some point you have to kind of put a hard stop and say, Tosha, apa.
But I'm a little confused here that isn't part of the preparation going back to Kenya is living per Kenya's salary? Because that's where it comes into, are you returning to Kenya if you're all expecting to be living there with IBM salary? Is that really salary returning? Or for those who are planning to return, they should put in their math calculation how they're going to live with ile kuendesha matatu, because and this is where it comes where I say maybe our perception is different, knowing that I can move to Kenya, but still earning US salary, living Kenya's standard,
But unajua Bandio, before you go back to Kimani to answer that question, part of the problem that I'm seeing with this conversation, because we're all trying to learn, never having done that 5-year move like Alan did, like Kimani did, like between that period. But part of the problem with this conversation is a lot of people with the strongest opinions do not have that experience. And that's the reason why I'm saying, give us someone with a success story with the criteria that we put out there. One of the romanticization that comes out as minta toboa ntenda kuishi Buruburu. You're not going back to live in Buruburu. We know that.
Yeah, but maybe
sasa, you hapo kusema, especially kama una family, like with kids who grew up here.
Yeah.
You're not going back to live in Buruburu. You're not going back to live in phase 2. So hiyo romanticization kusema ati mi nilikulia kijijini mimi, mi najua kuteka maji. That is part of the problem we are having. And the person who's saying this ana watoto ambao wanakula ice cream kila weekend na cereal every morning, and then unasema sasa utarudi kijijini. So I think, like that is that's where, we welcome the attacks that are coming in, but I have constantly asked people, please give us a success story with the criterion that we give.
I will tell you, success story is not going there if you know you're not well prepared. Maybe to their defense, that's why they did not move, because they knew they were not going to make it. So maybe there is a point there for us to take that.
Yes.
These people, they don't have experience because they knew they were not going to make it. That's why they did not go, and they stand by their decision. So maybe that's why they come from that angle.
Okay, so
just saying. Here.
So Kimani, back to the question that Bandio asked, which I hijacked. Are people going back unprepared? Like you're going back, you're supposed to be living that Kenyan life, but you're going expecting an American standard. Kimani.
I wouldn't say an American standard, but it would be dishonest to say that you've been used to some modern amenities, and for the sake of moving back, you're willing to give that up. That would seem a little unrealistic. Also, it could be that way if you're a single guy going back, no big deal. When you have family and kids and everything, as you said, cereal and ice cream and whatever, they have expectations too. We had gone to see my father-in-law once, and he wasn't home, and we had to wait. And while we were waiting, our family friend invited us over for tea. And we went, and we had tea. And this will sound really obnoxious, and I apologize for this, but it's just the reality at a certain level of age or whatever. And so we went for tea, and tea came and bread came. And my son, at the age 4.5, he opened the bread and said, "There's nothing." To him, he's never thought that's normal or possible. So when we say moving back, the expectations of others, if you're a family unit, play a part into that. So you might not be all in and say, yeah, sure, I'll give up the Nairobi lifestyle and the convenience of everything it comes with. My shags is not too far away. I'm in Limuru. So we'll go and start village life. It might not work for everyone. So it becomes a little bit difficult when family is involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. We're going to get to that family part. Before quickly we go to the caller, at what point did your honeymoon crack? You left in 2013. You're still in the honeymoon phase. At what point do you feel like it cracked? Before we go to the caller.
For the first 9 months, I was living the life. Every Tuesday was Slims for jazz. Life was great. Nairobi is beautiful. I mean, heck, I don't know anywhere else you have that good of an experience. 9 months afterwards, there was a little dispute, contractual, between me and the person that we were in business with, and we decided to part ways amicably. Some things in life, you just, dollars and cents, man, you can always give up. Health is another issue. Dollars and cents, sour. Water under the bridge. So 9 months was great. After that, for about 2 years or less, or maybe 18 months, there was a promising project which had been gotten all the approvals or the necessary approvals to proceed. And it was going to be an extremely lucrative infrastructure project that we were going to duplicate in other cities in Africa. And I remember a lawyer friend who told me, this thing is not going to happen. And I just thought, man, you Kenyans are so negative. This thing is going to happen. We have the financing. We have the technical partners. We have the cities and towns that want it. We have done all kinds of studies, feasibility, etc. It's going to work. Hey, my friend. After 5 years, or just about 5-year mark, I remember telling the guy, you are right. You are exactly right. There was no way this thing was going to happen. Although approval from the Ministry of Finance and everything stamped as of 2014, says, yeah, your PPP project is approved. Go and make it happen. Mpaka wa leo, there is not a peg in the ground to say that thing has started.
Okay.
So that's just life, man.
Okay, so Honeymoon cracked after 9 months, and you stayed on for 5 years. We're going to talk about that later. Right now, let's go to the caller. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We have Kimani with us tonight, and we're talking about his viral phone call where he gave some nuggets and pointers for people who are planning to move back. This is what you need to do. He admits that he got mugged walking through a dark alley, and he was giving tips of this is what you need to do if you do not want to get mugged. Let's go to the caller.
All right. The last phone number is 1466. Hello.
Please tell us your name and where you're
Yes,
calling
sir.
from.
Hey, kwa jina naitwa Malika Lijuma, napigia ni kwa Georgia humo.
Okay.
Lakini ukisikiza upo.
Okay, Malika Lijuma, karibu sana kutoka Georgia. Talk to us, Malika.
Yeah, anaomba nijue niongee na Swahili au niongee na Kimombo?
Lugha yoyote, kama unajisikia kuzungumza Kiswahili, kama unajisikia kuzungumza Kimombo ni sawa. Yeah. Hata Kiswanglish pia tunakubali.
Okay. Basi, salamu alaikum wafukan zanguni.
Waalaikum salam.
Masauheri. Samahani. Ningetaka angalau niangazie kwa mada fulani ambao washikaji wangu wameongelea, ambao mimi mwenyewe naona kuna utofauti kidogo. Na sitaki kuchambua mtu wote. Sisi naongea kama Tanzania na wa Kenya pia. Tunapoenda tunapoenda Afrika, wengi wetu tunaenda kule, hatuna ule unyenyekevu. Tunaenda kujigamba, tunaenda kujionyesha, tunaenda kujianika, lakini ndiposa tunapata matatizo. Sijui mwanangu nielewa nasemaje. Kwa mfano, unapoangalia Wahindi baniani, kuna Waturuki mle Kenya, Waitaliano, Iran, Wareno, hawalalamiki. Wanakuja Kenya, wanafanya biashara mle ndani na wanafaulu. Okay, wanaishi miaka na miaka, hawalalamiki. Kwa mfano, kuna jamaa amesema Aga Khan, wale Wahindi baniani mle ndani wamefungua mabaharia, yani warehouses. Kenya ziko the Turkey, Waturuki wabebewa kutoka nchi za Ulaya wamumu Kenya. Lakini si wa Afrika kutoka huko Marekani tukienda Kenya au Tanzania, mwanangu tunalalamika. Shida ni kwa kuwa sisi hatuna ule unyenyekevu. Nasemaje, ukienda Kenya usiende pale kama Marekani, enda pale na heshima na taadhima. Heshimu maadili ya Wakenya. Unaona, usiende ukijigamba, usiende ukijanika tio nimetoka Marekani. Mwanangu ukijanika na ukijigamba nimetoka Marekani, basi ndiposa utapata tatizo. Mwanangu wanielewa?
Nakuelewa vizuri sana. Lakini sasa kaka Malika, hapa swali kidogo nitaka kuuliza. Ni je, wewe una mpango? Je, wewe una mpango wa kurudi nyumbani? Una mpango wa kurudi ni Tanzania ama ni Kenya?
Kenya, nitarudi Kenya.
Okay.
Wacha niseme hivi msikaji. Naporudi Kenya mimi, na nimetembea Kenya mno, na nimeishi Kenya kutoka Marekani, kenda zangu Kenya, Kenya nimeishi kule. Lakini mimi nitasemaje, kutokana na vitu ambazo mimi mwenyewe nimeshuhudia, napoenda Kenya mimi mwenyewe sina shida na mtu wote. Okay, nikiingia pale basi nakaa kama mwenyeji.
Okay.
Ingawa lugha ni tofauti, atajua historia yako ni tofauti, lakini unaheshimu. Okay, unafaa ujue mazingira yako. Okay, kahela. Alafu tena usahau kitu kingine, kusema ukweli. Na samahani hapa, I'm a little bit nervous ile. Lakini because I'm so excited kuongelea hii swala. Hii swala ni mbalo nimeona Afrika wenzetu sansara wa Kenya na Tanzania wanapoenda nyumbani hawafaulu kwa kuwa wanajigamba, wanajionyesha, na wanakuja wakiwa na matarajio ya kuwa mfumo wa Kenya, tuongelea Kenya, mfumo wa Kenya ni sawa, ni sawia na mifumo za Marekani au mfumo za wenzetu wa beberu kutoka kule Uropa. Hazifanani, haziendani.
Okay.
Unafaa uelewe, ukishaingia pale mifumo yao tofauti.
Okay.
Okay, that is something you have to have in your mindset.
Okay.
Naomba msamaha kwa kuwa kizungu yangu si sawa kaya wa Kenya, lakini I'll try the best I can niongee kizungu. When you go there, angalau mwanangu, elewa na uwe mnyenyekevu, elewa that system zao, mfumo zao tofauti.
Okay.
Na ingawa alafu kitu ya maana wenzetu waelewi ni mifumo mahali popote, mazingira yote ukienda. Kwa mfano umesema uko Philadelphia, mimi niko Georgia na Philadelphia, kila jimbo ina mapungufu zake. Kila jimbo ina shida zake. You know what I'm saying? So unapoenda Kenya, kumbuka kwamba mifumo ni tofauti, na hiyo mfumo huenda ikana ninio na mapungufu zake.
Okay.
Usiwe msumbufu.
Haya kaka Malik.
Unaona, usiwe msumbufu.
Haya kaka Malik, asante sana, tunakushukuru kwa kupiga simu na inshallah mawaidha ambayo umetoa, ushauri ambao umetoa, tutaitilia maanani, tutaizingatia. Yes, asante sana.
Alafu kabla niondoke, wacha niseme tu jambo moja tu.
Okay,
kabla niondoke mwenzetu,
okay,
mwanangu, please.
Dakika moja sawa.
Kabla niondoke, wacha niseme hivi, wa Kenya sana na ufanye utafiti. Okay? Kenya ndio kuna mapungufu ya hela, kuna mapungufu ya maajira, lakini Kenya, okay? Wewe ni Mkenya na unafaa uelewe, na utaniunga mkono nikisema hivi, wa Kenya sana watoto wa kike wa umle Kenya. There's nowhere you can find love than Kenya. Hamna.
Okay.
No, hiyo ni kitu mimi mwenyewe nitakwambia. Mimi mwenyewe nimeishi Marekani for 25 years.
Yeah.
Na napo I've never had love. Lakini ukienda pale Kenya, au watoto wa Kenya, if you want to experience genuine people, loving people, nenda Kenya, mapenzi ya dhati nakwambia.
Okay.
Basi mwanangu, acha niondoke. Nimeshukuru mno, asante mno kwa mwafaka.
Okay. That was
Kenya wamepewa maua yao. Lakini kuzungumza kuhusiana na alichokisema Malik, kuna ukweli. Nafikiri hata yule mama nani anafanya video za watu ambao wamereturn diaspora waliokwenda Kenya. Nafikiri kuna video moja amesema kwamba ukija Kenya usije na mentality ya Marekani.
Okay.
Japo unfortunately ukifika kule unakutana na mentality ambayo it's not even in the system. It's one thing kwenda Kenya alafu kaishi na mentality halali ya pale. Tatizo ni kwamba hakuna uhalali katika, yani kila kitu kinakwenda ni chini ya meza na kwa kujuana. That's the challenge. Kwa hiyo ni kweli ukienda na mtazamo wa kwamba nitafika eti nimechukua namba, kwa hiyo lazima nitaitwa baada ya dakika fulani, sijui ukifika muda, hiyo haipo.
Okay.
Lakini tatizo ni kwamba pia hali ya kule ni mbaya.
Let's go back to Kimani, because you're the one who spent 5 years in Kenya, and there's this notion that when people from the diaspora go out there, like Malik was saying, they go, bragging, kujigamba na nini, kuwa nimetoka Marekani na utafanya nini. So this, we've seen it maybe in some cases here and there. Is this the norm, or is this amplified? Do Kenyans who've lived in the US, maybe sometimes subconsciously brag without knowing? Kimani.
I don't think we brag, but the moment you walk into any environment, you're different.
Yeah.
Your swag, your accent, how you'll buy the house, or I don't know. And you're really not trying to brag. You're not there trying to bring attention to yourself. It's the happiness that we have. We are loud. We are so happy to see guys we haven't seen for years have a beer. And that somehow rubs people the wrong way. Not intended, but it just ends up being that way.
Yeah,
I've never understood why.
Kuna ile dhana ya kuhoji. How is this possible? Yanatajua kwamba wewe ni mgeni. It's like for them is normal kwamba umefika pale umekaa na mtu hana customer, unajua, and then you're like but why? This is not good customer service. Watajua kabisa huyu ametoka nje.
Yes.
And then they'll be like, hii ni issue. It's like when I was driving, mimi nikifika Dar es Salaam, it's like the first day naanza kuendesha. But kama ni usiku, ukistop kwenye red light, watajua wewe si wa pale.
Okay.
You know, it's
Because
just things like
yeah.
that. Kwamba,
Correct, yeah.
Small things.
Yeah, ukisimama, then kuta watu wa bodaboda wamekaa hapo, you know, wanasubiria anayesimama anajua usio hapa, and then it's easy kumfuata kwenda kumrob. Kwa hiyo kuna somehow we expose ourselves hata kama sio intentionally.
Okay.
Ile kuuliza kwamba but why niko benki for this long, kwa nini usimpigie hivi, naomba niongee na manager. They don't do that pale. It is unataka tu niongee na manager. You know, sio kitu cha kawaida. Wapo wanaofanya lakini sio kitu cha kawaida. So the moment you do that, unaanza unaleta kiburi cha Marekani, you know, and then they get offended, and sometimes unajikuta subconsciously unasema kitu and you become a victim.
Okay. Fair enough. You know, like we're gonna get to the comments. The comments have been coming in so thick and fast.
Comments kwanza.
Yeah.
They are thick.
They're thick and fast.
So thick.
You know, like
you don't even know where to start.
I don't even know where to get started.
The thickness is thickening.
So before we get to the comments, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Let me ask you this question first, and then we're gonna come to the comments. Endeleni tu hapo kwa comments, you know, like I see even
simsahau Uno Mike.
Yes.
Yuko amekuwa na collect, anafanya
or
collection.
Working from home.
Yeah, kwa sababu nafikiri Hani Njeri alimwambia kwamba, you know, sick time imeisha. Kwa hiyo amekuja virtual.
Okay.
Does HR know is around?
Yes. Hapa Atieno Jimbo alikuwa anauliza wadau, what is mfumo? Na unaona, na huyu Atieno Jimbo anauliza alisomea kupitia mfumo wa 844 na amesahau mfumo
ni system.
Yeah.
Kuna changamoto hapa. So
okay. Kimani
tuende kwenye comments wakati anarudi.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sawa. We're gonna get to we're gonna go to the comments here. Hapa kwa YouTube, you know, like going back to let me start with usiwaze, just like when you're choosing a vacation destination, moving back to Kenya, you also need to do your research first, and plan well and leave the entitlement behind. We've got Kimani back.
Tuende kwanza kwenye comments.
Okay. Yeah, sawa. So hapa and then Ken Lemayana anasema, the way I see it, Kenya is calling you, don't answer with a suitcase, answer with a strategy. And then Samrak from Boston anasema, Boston tupo east west, home is best. And then I have Stoic 254 anasema, great discussion all the way from Houston, karibu sana. And then G anasema, abroad, US, UK, in the 1800s. I think that comment we already read it. And then we have Lucy Lou. Lucy Lou says, people can be so naive and narrow-minded. Instead of welcoming advancements in medicine and technology, they block it with politeness, with pettiness, pure foolishness. Yeah. And then Tech Ted's up anasema, the experience has made me rethink about my future here. There are systems that we need to change, that Alan is talking about, should be changed. Then we have Ed Sugar anasema, moving to Kenya, you have to generate money as a landlord and collect at least 150k to 300k in rent income. Also, living average or simple life. Any other business or employed is gambling. And then G anasema, Alan, all those systems are what we need to be changed. And then Josilando anasema, but there are deportees who have succeeded, Bona. And Josilando, you know, like we would like
we want those people to
we want
reach
those
out.
people. Yeah, we want them, and
we
and,
want
and we,
as many as possible
Yes.
to reach out to us, because again, you know, something that people don't seem to consider is that we actually talk to folks who are willing to talk to us, not that we are the ones who are saying, okay, this is the person who's going to talk to us, right?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of experiences that people have and they don't want to even talk about it, let alone show their faces.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot of other things and stigmatism that comes with it, and
enough respect
for anybody who comes forward and is willing to talk to us, we will talk to them, but we also would like to hear a different side and or perspective to get to hear, so that there's a balance of this whole returning to Kenya, not returning to Kenya, honeymoon phase, non-honeymoon phase, you know, CG soft landing, non-landing. There are people in the comments who said, you know, between Coast and Embakasi, they lost their container, and then before they knew it, they found zile vitu zilikuwa kwa container kama mayuni, watu walikuwa na Nairobi.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are some of the experiences of people who are returning. And it's nothing new for containers to disappear.
Okay.
Nothing new.
All right, sawa. So we're gonna get back to reading more of the comments. And again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Of course, you're tuned in to the One Mic Show, and we're talking to Kimani here about his experience 5 years in Kenya, and then decided to come back to the US. Mubelo is saying we have a caller.
No, uno.
Okay.
Naona alikoa sijui. So.
Yes, yes.
He put his hand or his foot up.
Okay.
Hiyo kwa Zoom.
All right, Uno Mike, if you can hear us,
If
Uno
you can
Mike,
find a way to unmute yourself.
Blink
Yes.
twice if you're safe.
Okay,
But you won't see me blink, Chakadi, you know.
okay. All right, Uno Mike, twende kazi. Your
guy.
time.
Kimani, aka the bastard one, the returnee, reverse returnee. There's so much to say. What Alan said, what Dr. Alan said. It sounds very familiar, but I could be wrong.
He's the one you
reminds
think.
you-
He's the one you think.
Oh, is that one?
Yes, just keep moving. He's the one you think.
Okay, sawa. Okay. But I think ultimately, and like Ali said, and I think most people have been chiming in. Of course, people who have never been and have never gone, really trying to advise somebody who has been there already. Sometimes it's just funny. But yes, again, we are looking for somebody who has been there and is doing well, and has that option of coming back. When you don't have the option of coming back, you are forced. You have no choice but to adjust accordingly. But I think ultimately, what needs to happen is, one, when you're talking about preparation, I don't know how much preparation Kimani had done prior to going. And when I say preparation, like going there, scouting the places. And again, these are things that probably no one was there to tell him what to do. And sometimes, nobody was there to advise. And right now, what we are getting is we are really truly getting advice. We are really being told, open your eyes. We are really being told, prepare. We are really being told, don't just up and move. Have a plan. Have a 2-year plan, 5-year plan. What do you want to do? Like you said, you go to a restaurant, you ask for a menu, you're given options. You already know what the options are. Unaangalia unataka hii appetizer, main course, kuna hii gluten-free and whatnot. There's so much to say, and the gentleman from Georgia. I don't necessarily say it's kiburi. Some people do have kiburi, but some people, and it's just nuances sometimes just get picked up. It's what you say. It's maybe how you dress, even if you're trying to be polite. It's how you talk, or maybe there's something that you're going to say that identifies you as huyu si wa huku. But man, this conversation is needed. It is important. It is, and especially at this juncture when kids are growing. Are you ready to go there? Will you be living in Buru? Can you adjust living in Buru? Or are you going in Ali utaenda South B? But these are questions that one has to ask self for yourself. You process it yourself. And you include your family. And then you decide if, okay, kinda. But there's so much. But I was trying to summarize so much, but this conversation needs to keep on going.
Sawa.
And
Sawa.
asante Kimani.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now,
Asanda.
yes. Now, Kimani, there was another thing that you also said about in Kenya. You said you might get paid for work, or you might get paid later. You might not get paid, or you may have to bribe someone to get paid what's rightfully yours. So when you actually started working and doing business in Kenya, what is it that hit you the hardest about how money is earned and paid, Kimani?
The hardest part about it is the lag between the time when work is completed and when you get paid. That lag is excruciating. I know a guy who did some construction work in somewhere in East Africa, And the guy had to go to the world courts of business in order to recover or get paid for the work he did. The construction is done. Now, leading up to that job, he had to lease equipment, which had to be paid for, pending being paid for the construction work. Then when that process takes 20 years, this guy said, man, he was a laughing stock. Guys thought he'd lost it, was dead broke. People he owed a lot of money. But that lag, surviving that lag between when you are done with the work you were doing versus when you get paid, that's the biggest hurdle, man. That's a killer. That's a killer.
Okay,
There's
so
nothing that prepares you for that.
okay, so so you're talking about the lag, but you say that sometimes you might get paid,
Yeah.
and sometimes sometimes that lag may become indefinite.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now, did you or how common is this? You know, like, because there's a lot of the comments, people are saying that we are amplifying a failure story. So would you say that is this maybe a situation where ulioshwa too, you know, like it was your situation, or is this, you know, like the normal
norm, yeah.
way of doing things in Kenya? Because these are things that we are trying to also understand.
Unpack, yeah.
Yeah. Kimani.
I would say that I don't know how many people will tell you in Kenya that they do work and they were paid in 3 months. The lag is there across the board. Lawyers, doctors, Alan will tell you. You do work and the insurance company takes 9 months to 12 months, 18 months. You follow up and you go and have to part with some of the payment that you are anticipating to get with the CFO of the insurance company. It's a reality. Let's not sugarcoat this. It's a reality that a lot of people will tell you is something you expect. And the reason why I thought when you asked during the call last time is it realistic that people have 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of income? The 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of income are the ones that hold things together because of the lag. The lag will be there. Surviving the lag is the 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of income. You live somewhere in Tigoni or at the river, you're on half an acre or whatever, there's some vegetables and some chickens and some whatever, and you've got another matatu somewhere, or those things are the ones that hold you together. But the lag is there. It's universal. I don't know anyone who gets paid on time, but that's my experience, and that's a lot of common ground. The other thing I wanted to mention was, you know, we talk about success stories and otherwise. I don't see my experience as not having a success story, because you would have to know what my metric was or my metric is for success for you to know whether I was successful or not.
Yeah.
And when it came down to going home, I had to look at it in 3 ways. I had always wanted to work in Kenya, and whether that's to earn a living or to give back, it's neither here nor there. But I really wanted to work in Kenya. I wanted to have that experience. I had never experienced that ever since leaving high school. So I left high school and very quickly came to the States. So that work, I just thought that I have learned so much, I have seen so much that there's something I can add value in the local economy. So that was goal number 1. Goal number 2 was I wanted the kids to experience Africa. I've always thought that the difference between us and other people, and us meaning immigrants, I think the reason why we as a group are a lot more successful than others in America is we have experiences from Africa that either humbled us or made us appreciate very little things. As old as I am, I think I have owned 2 pairs of Air Jordans, which were on sale somewhere, discounted badly. I think both of them were right foot or something. But that was never something that was a goal for me or something that would break me. So I always thought if the kids could experience some of that and bring that with them, their ability to survive and interact and overcome would be that much greater. And then the third factor for me was, it was at a time when my wife wanted to take part in the care of her folks. And so those three pillars for me, in any dimension of whatever, were success. I hate the word failure. So to me, there was no failure. I could rather put it this way. The successes for me personally, especially from a work perspective, were not as robust as I would have wanted. But definitely, I would never give that up ever. I had the best time ever. And that experience chanured me big time. When I came back, I was laser focused. No more, senior executive, financial services industry, and just cool running. Nowadays, I have got antennas all over the place. It's like compound eyes, because in Kenya, you have to factor a lot of different things. What if this ends? What is my option B? And so that's how I think Kenya helped me out. When I came back, I was just very quick to analyze and look at opportunities and pounce on them.
Okay, all right. That's quite telling, and that's quite unexpected from a lot of the people who were attacking you and calling you a failure. You did 5 years in Kenya, like that. There's very few of us in the diaspora who've lived here 20 plus years who can actually claim that or say that, because then there comes to that other metric of what is success, and success could mean different things for different people. And you were there talking about family. Now, how did having a family maybe make your experience look different compared to anyone maybe who moved back as a single person? Kimani.
As a solo chap, man, you can ride any wave. You can sleep at your best friend's house and it's a floor for 3 months before your situation improves. When you've got family, the situation on day one is very, very real, and that option that you have as a single person just goes away. It puts things in a rather dire way of looking at things. The thought of maybe me being even here and the family being there was an option that was discussed. And then at some point you say, you know what, you'll miss out some pivotal moments, memories, a time when your kids are growing up. So you say, you know what, let's jump ship. We'll make it work somehow. So going in as a single person, just like when we came here, we were single, we were young, we were going to school. And we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. There were 6 of us. We never even locked the front door. There was always people coming in and going out.
You guys had nothing in the house.
That too. That too. But it was probably the best times of our lives when we had nothing, but yet we had so much. Right. We actually look back and say we had so much more fun then than we did once we started graduating and going into other positions in life and higher salaries. So being that basic helped a lot. And maybe if we had gone, again, solo in Kenya and rough it out for some years, that could work. But I do know a guy who was in the UK. He was in IT. And this guy, we used to sit together having a beer and he's telling me, boss, don't stress this thing. Me, I came and went back and came and went back 5 times. I would always come, I'd have a contract, 2-year IT thing. We are doing this, and that. And there's option to extend to 5 and beyond. Before even the 2 years was up, contract is cut because they have discovered they can use some local talent or whatever and finish the job and not have to pay you the big salary. The guy did that 5 times.
Wow.
And every time, lucky for him, he was going solo. So the family was still stationed in the UK. He was there solo. So he'd go rough it out and then come back and say, hey, it didn't work. 5 times it took him. By the time I was meeting him, he had now been the longest he's been in Kenya, which was about 3.5 years, 4 years. And that's when he had just now settled into the idea that maybe this could be long term.
Okay. All right, good. But what's sometimes the biggest shock or reality for returnees who go there with kids?
Hey, school fees, man.
Tell us about that. What about school fees?
School fees.
Yeah.
School fees. School fees. And we're not talking Turi or anything like that, or ISK, or anyway. It's when I went to school, I went to Kilimani. It's a Kajo school. Before Kilimani, I was at Dr. Kraft in Islands.
172 shillings.
Hey, my guy. And we came out of it, and here we are. But today's Kenya kind of forces you to look at options other than Kajo schools, and thereby the costs run. I think the guys who run schools definitely know that, you know what, you will do anything possible to give your kids the best. Them fees are something else, man. Those are the guys making the money. And those are the guys who don't have a lag in their money. If your kiddo does not have that money, by the time the term begins, the kiddo is out of school.
Correct.
So those guys, their lag is very, very small. Well, the rest of us wait for whoever, government or whatever, has to pay us for work's done.
So when you talk about fees, you know, like what is the fees for a fairly decent school? Of course, you've already eliminated those very high cost schools that you can take, you know, like a child who's maybe in middle school in the US and you're moving to Kenya. What kind of schools are you talking about, and what amount of fees are you talking about in a term?
Fees, and this was 2013, you would talk about 200,000 to 300,000 a term.
Per child?
So you have per child. Yes, per child.
Wow. What school are we talking about?
Usinga. There was one that they went to after that. That was near campus. I can't remember the name. But that was a little bit less. But I think that one was somewhere in the 100,000 range.
Okay.
100,000 is polite.
Okay.
And you know, from there, make it happen.
Okay, so let's say you have 3 kids and it's 200,000. That's going to be 600,000 a term. That's approximately 1.8 million shillings a year. And we're talking about conservatively, that's 150K a month. You know, like just for schooling. And that's before, you know, like paying for...
watu wamekula.
No, at your schooling, kuna trips and there's so many other things.
Correct, yeah, but I'm saying you as your regular expenses for the month.
Yes.
Umegonga school fees to semeni 120 ama sombe.
Yes.
But you have not paid your driver, blah blah. And these days, actually, I see people carpooling to take their kids to school. They actually buy a vehicle, and then they do like 2 or 3 parents together, employ a driver, and that's the person who then now ends up dropping the kids.
Yes, it's cheaper than you know, like, and I see a lot of questions coming in. Please call in. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. There's Waithera is asking here, but moving continents with kids without a plan, was that a safe move? That's to you, Kimani.
Kimani.
Well, I don't know what a plan is, right? There's some things in life you can't put off. If the wife would like to take care of her parents, it's not one of those you say, you know what, wacha wijipanga, you'll be there in 6 years. You don't have that.
You should have had a project plan for how you guys were going to go look after the paros. You
Exactly.
just don't go in with the toys without a plan of how you look after the paros. But sorry, go ahead.
But then, you know, another thing, what most people don't understand is that a plan can be planned for 6 months, 6 years, 6 days, 1 day, 6 minutes. Still a plan.
Yeah, but let me hear from Kimani, you know, like because this always comes up, you know,
Correct,
like when those of you, the reverse returnees, talk, you know, like most people start saying that, oh, nye mulikuwa hamna plan.
Mulitoka tu fwa.
Yeah, that's why you guys came back. Wewe na Alan, mulikuwa hamna plan nzuri. That's why you guys are back here.
I don't know what a good plan is. I would tell you that the amount of funds withdrawn from 401k plans, etc., to go and make it work should have been sufficient, with a little bit supplementing from something else locally. So the plan was there, the allocation was there. It's just that other realities take on, and then suddenly you find that, oh, you're woefully short. I don't know what a good plan would be. I used to do financial planning, and they'd say, you should have 6 months of your expenses on the side. In Kenya, man, you just have 5 years of expenses on the side. Then you'll say you have a good plan.
5 years of expenses.
Yes.
Well,
Because everything else is neither here nor there.
That's unrealistic.
So you just know you're covered for 5 years. You've carried enough loot to make sure you're sorted for 5 years. And if anything else comes that you've earned in Kenya, it's a bonus.
Okay. And then maybe from what you've seen, a bit of a controversial question here. How do spouses experience the transition compared to husbands? And how is the marriage dynamic affected with such moves? And here we are speaking in generalities, not your specific situation. Yeah, we're speaking in generalities here. Because I know you knew a couple of other returnees. How do the wives relate to this as opposed to the husbands, and how does this affect the marriage dynamic?
So, do you guys have a divorce lawyer on the side that we can have on standby? Because this is where we're gonna delve into.
I know a guy.
You know a guy.
I have a plug.
Oh, yeah.
I have a plug.
That's why I'm saying we are speaking. In generalities.
I have a plug. Don't worry, I have a plug.
Let's put it this way. In Boston, I lived in the suburbs, and out in the sticks. I mean, next to me was a state forest. And so there's a development you live in, and then next to you is a state forest. And you're the only mirrors there. If you go to the supermarket that's about 9 miles away, you see another mirror. You guys almost want to hug because there's just none of you there. There's a loneliness factor that comes with life in America. We are very siloed in our own little lives and our own little issues, and kids are being dropped for soccer and whatever. So there is not a communal feel to life here. You could be successful, but you're successful as an individual, and you don't have backup plan or guys you hang out with every Saturday who are also maybe families in the same situation. You go to Kenya, man, it takes a village. Suddenly, you're thrown into this life of a lot of people and a lot of participants and a lot of fringe guys with some interests because they think they might get X or Y, Z from you or whatever. So there's a lot of communal love. Your family seeing you, you've been away this long, your grandmother, whatever. From a female perspective, the emotion part of it is something that carries a lot of weight. You, the Charlie, you're just like, hey, Mazebana, this school fees, how are we making it happen? So it's a very different dynamic. And I would love you guys to host a female or a parent, a lady who's been there, and they can give a perspective of how life goes out there. But it's very different from a chap's life.
So now from your friends, the couples that you've seen that are moved back, life in the US and life in Kenya, does it affect the marriage dynamic, or it's just based on what you had before you left?
100%, Bona, 100%. As a friend of mine used to say, there are two things very hard to do in Kenya. Be an honest businessman and a faithful husband. Kenya is just Kenya. And the temptation and the lures and the situations and compromises, they're all over the place. You will be stretched thin in very many different directions. Neither good or bad, just a reality of the experience.
Okay. And what about, the standard, social pressure to maintain a certain standard? Like the guys who are claiming that, mi nitatoboa nilikuwa msee wa Buru, they are most likely not going back to live in Buru. So is there any kind of pressure to maintain a certain social standard?
There's pressure, but like anything in life, even life here, if you let it get to you, it will. But there's an expectation. Ulikuwa America miaka ngapi? Na unafanya nini? Unatembea. There was a time my house help was making fun of my phone Me, I had a beat up phone, and Kenyans they have to have the latest gadget.
Correct. Yes.
The house help had a more advanced phone than mine, and I used to tell her, me, as long as it can call, I can text, and occasionally jump on Facebook. I'm good. There's nothing else I'm doing. In any phone I've ever had, I don't think I use 5% of its capabilities. The gadget doesn't mean anything to me. But Kenya, ile simu unatumia, ile gari unapeleka, watoto wanaenda shule wapi, kanisa, huko chama gani, man.
Yeah.
All these things
Yeah.
pull you in certain directions that you did not sign up for. But the expectation is there.
Okay.
By the way, Ali,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about you, Kimani, lakini kuna michango ya harusi.
Okay.
Sare.
Sare kwanza.
Sare za harusi.
Na
Wakina mama.
ujue sare ina maana mbili tofauti, Kenya na Tanzania.
Okay.
Ina maana mbili tofauti.
Sare moja.
Sare Kenya inamaanisha yani ukiingia kwa daladala unaingia free. Hiyo ni sare.
No. I'm talking about hiyo ni kama uniforms.
Sare ni uniforms za harusi.
Yeah. So kuna hiyo.
Yeah.
And then hizo chamas, jumuiya and all this stuff. My friend, kama
mchango wa shule unajengwa. Yeah.
Acha hizo
unajua bado nini anaitwaje, bibi hajameza jembe. Lazima ameze jembe. Unajua pigiwa simu kutoka ushago, amemeza jembe, shangazi amekula nini,
amekula jembe.
Yeah.
But
emergency from nowhere, kwanza zinakuja Friday.
I think one thing ambayo pia amezungumza Kimani hapa ni kwamba kwenye nchi zetu they run with wants than needs. Yani kukuta mtu ana gari ina latest GPS wakati street hazina hata majina, you know, that's normal. Kukuta mtu ana text na kucall, lakini anataka simu ambayo inaweza ikampa New York Stock Exchange, you know, vile vitu ambavyo hahitaji. So they pay even for what they don't need. Na hiyo kama ni original, kwa sababu pia kuna ndugu zetu tunakwenda Guangzhou, alafu tunachukua ile mwambia unapata unataka original copy au fake. Na hizo zote zipo.
Japan.
Okay. So Kimani, the black tax issue, you know, like the one that we experienced while we are here, which is called diaspora remittance. How does that dynamic work when now you're physically there
on the ground?
Is it now done because now you're not outside, so now there's no expectation because umekuwa mtu wa ground?
It's triple. Go ahead.
Still there. There's this idea that, you know, you could not have been foolish enough to come with everything you had, so you still have some left, and you still have sources of tapping into where you were, because why in the world would you come back? There's a lot of people who ask you're either very brave or you're foolish. Why would you come back? You find guys who tell you they never advise people to come back. What they say is, do everything you've got to do there, but invest at home. One way or the other, utachota. Black tax is there. You and wherever you came from, my friend, it's hard for you to tell the local in the village that you're going through a cafes and ujalipwa nini. The expectation is you're okay, and yes, this is something that you should be able to honor.
All right.
Karibu chama ya the village, we are building a borehole or whatever, and you're into it. Upende usipende.
Okay, all right. Now we have a caller from 254.
Hiya.
Yes, we have a caller from Kenya.
Better not be black tax.
Yes.
Well, maybe Kenyan number. Okay. Ni number kutoka Kenya. Sijui kama yuko Kenya. 9349. Hello.
Okay. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Welcome to the One Mic Show.
Okay. Uko unmuted. 9349 last number.
Last
254.
4 digits, yeah.
Last 4 digits 9349. Hello.
Welcome.
Hauko muted bwana.
You call
Ama they might have muted themselves on their side.
Yeah. Unatusikia?
User error.
Yeah.
User error.
User error. All right. For the last time, last 4 digits 9349.
Yeah, take us off mute.
Unapiga na 254. Hello.
Okay. All right.
All right. Kuna namba nyingine pia.
Okay.
3771. Hello.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Welcome to the One Mic Show.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
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 loud and
Karibu,
clear.
karibu.
Yes.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Kibe. I'm calling you from California in Big Bear in the mountains.
Who's this?
Kibe.
Kibe.
Yeah.
Karibu Kibe.
Yeah.
Kibe from the mountains in California.
Big Bear, California. Okay. All right. Kibe, talk to us.
Karibu.
So I wanted to share with you regarding if you go home with your children, you need to make sure that they know where they're going,
Yes.
because if you don't prepare them, what will happen is that they can call child abuse on you, and you can end up having the Department of State reaching out to you to find out what's going on. So there's something called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and it's a national body. And when you have teenagers and you're trying to take them home because you think that they need to walk through the shoes that you did while growing up, and they end up not liking the whole idea, and especially if you are in a situation whereby you and your significant other are divorced and you have an arrangement about custody, and one child, the children are caught in between, it can cause you a lot of problems. So you want to make sure that the dream and the vision you have about returning back to Kenya, that your children also embrace it, and your significant other, if you are divorced or separated, they understand that that is part of your vision. And if you have like a court order where there is custody arrangement, that is incorporated at court, and it is stipulated that you'll be going to Kenya, those kind of things. Because I will tell you, gentlemen, the Department of State, if there is one thing that they protect, number one, they will protect the airspace of the United States. Number two, they will protect their children who are citizens. And to cut the long story short, I was able to sort out the issue itself, but it did cost me my employment. It did cost a lot of alimony, a lot of things that went wrong. And as of right now, I have one kid who's really gung-ho about Kenya, and I have another one that really does not want anything to do with Kenya. And it was my fault because I assumed that exposing them to Kenya at middle school age would be appropriate. But if you do not wean your children to learn about your roots when they are young, you will be wasting your time. The last thing I'm going to say is the dream that you have, like as a millennial, the dream that you have about Kenya, that is your dream. Don't try and force your children into a dream that they cannot envision. Let them create their own path as you dream and romanticize about Kenya. But something positive I would say, when this whole incident happened, my kid got sick. I come from the area of Limuru and Tigoni. My kid got very sick, and I needed to get him to the hospital. And there is a mission hospital close by in Tigoni that we went, and we were referred to another hospital called Nazareth. And when we went there, I'll be very, very honest. I thought my kid was not going to make it because he almost drowned. He decided to go and swim with the rest of the boys out there, and he did not know how to swim really good. But the doctors there saved my kid's life, and they never asked me to pay any bribes. They did their job, and I was really, really impressed. I got to give credit where it is. But that day when I spent like the entire night at the hospital, this one clinical officer told me that there's no point of you taking your child to Kenyatta or any other hospital. We are going to stabilize him here. And the lucky thing that I had is there's this traveler's insurance that I had purchased. And that is my parting shot would be anybody going to Kenya, whether you're visiting or you're going to explore, make sure you have traveler's insurance. Because the traveler's insurance I had worked perfectly. I was able to get my kids in a plane all the way to California at the Children's Hospital of Orange County. And I didn't have to pay a dime. And actually, 2 years ago, when I got my tax refund, I donated it to Nazareth Hospital.
Wow.
Because of what they did. That's something that I just wanted to share. As for me, my vision about Kenya, I'm not yet ready for Kenya because of the family dynamics that I just shared. But if you're a man and you have a vision for Kenya, please make sure it aligns. You know, you can't be 1 foot in Kenya and 1 foot in America. It will never work.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Asante sana.
Thank you,
Kibe, for sharing.
Thank you. That's a very heartwarming story
Powerful.
there. And I like the positive part too, because sometimes, like there might be a focus on the negatives, but in all the situations that we have in Kenya, there's still a lot of honest people who want to do honest things. I believe a lot of people are pushed into the bribery because the system is built that way. Like you will not get any services if you don't pay someone or if you don't, do this or do that. So that's a good thing.
Right.
I think you said we have other callers there on
We
queue.
do have callers. Tutachukua moja and then kuna ile ya 254 ambayo tutalazimika kupiga kwa njia ya WhatsApp. I think 9737. Hello?
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, this is Wanjeri from Boston.
Wanjeri from Boston. Karibu sana.
Boston.
Talk to us.
Hello.
Wanjeri.
Hawa watu wa Boston
Hello.
wako. Karibu.
Yes. First of all, I want to really thank Mr. Kimani for calling in. I know him from way back when he used to live in Massachusetts. And I want to really thank him for being very candid. And I think you should make him a regular guest. He's very, very good with words. But I really want to thank him for sharing his experience. And I think the comments, I think everybody, like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face, right? And all these people opining who've never moved, who don't know the situation. I love that he said he moved because of his parents. I think a lot of people don't understand what that means when you have to make a decision and move back. I moved back in 2000 actually. I moved back, but I moved back because I'd gone through a very ugly breakup and I thought I might die. And when I went to Kenya, I didn't have money. I remember I'd only saved maybe 10,000. And I remember when I went to Kenya and people realized I was not coming back soon, everybody would be like, why would you come back? Nini. And they're like, why would God give you a chance to go to America? Alafu unarudi. And I'm like, do you understand that I left because I thought if I stayed in America any longer, I would have died of depression and all those things I was going through. And the only person who understood it is my mom, right? And I'll tell people, mi sikuwa nimefukuzwa nyumbani. Like I had not been kicked out to go to America.
Correct.
Right? But everybody had an opinion that, you should have stuck it through. You should have done this. You know how many people are trying to go to America. Nini. And I feel like when Tim shares his story, it's the same thing. All these people think they would have done something different. They should move and do the things they think he should have done. It's annoying because that is experience, and I really want to commend him for sharing all the aspects. I totally get what he's saying about people not paying, because I have friends in Kenya who have trouble getting paid. Or like one of my friends, he's a lawyer, he works for all these big people, and somebody will owe you like 5 million, but he pays you in 50,000 increments, which you cannot do anything. And then it's not because that person does not have money, but they just want to frustrate you and beat you down, right? So unaenda nakupatia 50,000, after 2 months nakupatia 100K, money that cannot change your life in that instance. It's just to pay your bills, right? So I totally understand what he's saying, and I want to thank him for sharing his story. And I hope his comeback has been great for him and for his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjeri. Thank you so much.
Anjeri.
Thank you so much.
And I want to say, me, when I went back to Kenya, I stayed for 1 year. And I relate to what he was saying about when you come back, your antennas are up. When I came back, I actually had a very different perspective on how I should do things. And it was actually a good thing to go to Kenya at that point and come back. You come back with a very different perspective. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Great. Right. Yeah. So that's I think that's one big takeaway we are getting. When you go back there, stay for a little while, you come back here, you come with a different perspective, and I think it's good. I think I should also try it. I don't know that's gonna kill my. I don't know that's gonna kill my romantic face, or I don't know what's gonna happen.
But then,
hold on. Let's check. 2502. Hello.
Hello. Wazee, mnanisikia?
Yes, tunakusikia. Let us know your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Tony Kier. I'm calling from Chicago.
All right.
Maju.
All right, Tony, talk to us.
So, I am so glad. Unajua, I was just going through, some my scrolling, and after I came across this show. But hey, you guys are doing a wonderful job. And I'm listening to Kimani there. I think he's in Arizona. But man, it's like you're reading my mail. Because I'm one of those guys also who came back. So back in 2016, nilirudi just before COVID ikuje. But now keep in mind, me, I've been here over 30 years. And I decided to come back. But one thing I will say is moving back nyumbani is a process. It's not an event. This is something you have to, just slowly ukitaka vizuri ujipange. Because if you just ghafla go, it might be an issue. But here's the other thing, guys. Most of the guys that I know that have moved back and kind of been successful, for lack of a better word, their transition has been very smooth. Most of the guys, I'm not saying everybody, but most of them are from old money families. Wale majamaa unasikia buda wao ni huyu, mama yao ni huyu. They come back, connection is easy, wanapotafutiwa job. Au wakirudi, it's so much easier. Lakini if you're new money folks, kama sisi, tulikuja huku kutafuta. Sasa ndio ati tunataka kurudi. Hey, make sure, jamaa, you are well sorted. And like Kimani was saying, I don't know what a plan is. Even when the NBA, they go to play, see, everybody has a plan to win. Lakini you lose. So, our plan is just as good as how things will work out for you. But you guys are doing a wonderful job. You are, exposing people out here because it's not an easy thing. Like I said, it's an event. It's not a process.
All right. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thanks.
Okay.
Let's wacha nijaribu hii 254 9349. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Karibu.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Loud and clear.
Hello, this is Esther Muluka.
Karibu,
Esther.
Hello.
Go ahead, Esther. We can hear you.
Yes, Esther Muluka from Kenya. Oh, you can hear me this time. All right. I'm all right. I have a lot of things to say, so I'm just going to jumble all the points that I have. All right, to start with, I like what the last caller just said. People leave Kenya from different, levels. I am a person who left Kenya. I did not leave Kenya willingly. I didn't want to leave my country at all, but circumstances forced me out of Kenya. I left during the Moi era, where I couldn't get a job, I couldn't do what I wanted, so I was forced out of Kenya. I've never wanted to leave. That's why I always come back. So that's one thing to remember. And then when it comes to returnees, we need to figure out, where are you going back to? Are you going back to a cosmopolitan area like Nakuru? Are you going back to Kitale? Are you going back to your village where you were born? Or are you going back to Nairobi? Because different parts of Kenya are different when it comes to security. I'm just going to talk about a taboo subject. For example, I'm from Vihiga, and nobody really cares. They know this person is from America. Sometimes I go with bags of stuff, to deliver to people, medicine, photographs for grandmas who don't have cell phones. They want to see their grandchildren. People see me with, I literally walk, from our home and deliver stuff to people. And all people can say is, hi, how are you doing? You've come from America, give me 50 bob. But it's not a security issue. Nobody is going to come and look for me or, come and ask for money or, come and make demands at night. But to tell you the truth, there are parts of Kenya where you cannot reveal yourself. Some people don't even reach their village, or they stay in Nairobi because it might become a security issue. Some people might come at night and demand, your son has come from America, we need our share, So it depends where you're going back to. It depends on where you came from. There are some people who came from old money, like you said. It's smooth for them to come home because there's money, there's work. Sometimes they don't even work. They just drive their parents' big cars, and then there are other people who have to come and build from scratch. So some people would not want a difficult experience. That's why they say, I don't want to go back to Kenya because of the insecurity, Hello, are you guys still there?
Yes.
We're here.
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear
Yes.
you.
So there's the insecurity of we might be mugged, or might be, mobbed and asked for money, And so are you going back to scratch? Are you going to look for land? Are you going to buy land? Or are you moving back home? There are people who move back to their father's mansions and life is still good. So for me, I've always loved Kenya, like I said, and I never ever wanted to leave. Right now I'm in Kenya enjoying myself. I dread the day that I'll have to go back to America. What takes me back to America is looking for money, looking for that dollar, collecting that little dollar, and then coming to Kenya and staying for as long as possible. But if I was from old money, I would never have left Kenya. And if I had money right now, I would not come to the US, maybe just to visit or to go to, go and get medical treatment. But I'm deep in the village right now as we are talking, Kuna Pambazuka. I'm deep in the village and I love it. I don't live a lavish life, but there are things that I do subconsciously, the American way, I think like an American. Right now, most government transactions are going through e-citizen. And something makes me a little bit uncomfortable because people are actually playing with the system. Everything you do any government transaction has to, especially monetary transaction, has to go through e-citizen. And what is happening now is that people just ask you to send that money to their phone and they'll give you the service. That's what's happening. And I'm like, what the heck, so long as I get what I want. I was at the airport. I needed a vaccine because I need to travel to some place that needs yellow fever. And you have to send that money to e-citizen, but they give you numbers that don't work, and it is they do it on purpose so that you send the money to their personal phone. So somebody's trying to get money through e-citizen, but citizens are kind of, Kenyans are playing that game, and so there are these things that are done that are not ethical. But who are you to change the system? Or I'm deep in the village, and the first contact of security in the village is called a headman. Mzee wa mtaa, and he doesn't have a salary. So for you to get anything done, you have to give him something, you understand, on the side. And I sometimes I forget to do that. So when you make a distress call, Nobody will come because the mzee wa mtaa is the one who will collect the number, the number kumi guys to run to your compound to see what's going on. I don't know whether you guys are getting this. So for me, it escapes my mind that I should give the mzee wa mtaa something, And most of the time I don't, because I don't see why I should. But even the sub-chief wants something. The chief wants something. Everybody, these commissioners, everybody wants a kickback, And that does not, it rubs me the wrong way, because when you've lived in America 30 plus years, you kind of have a different mindset, Your ethics are different, and you just find some things to be totally unacceptable. But that's how this society is, and you will not fit in if you don't do what the Kenyans do. So you have to go to Rome and do what the Romans do. So, and somebody talked about children, and there are some children from the diaspora who thrive very well in the village. It's just the mindset and maybe the comfort level that they're living in at the village, or just the way you've socialized your children. Some children will really thrive. I've seen kids thrive very well in the village.
Okay.
But somebody talked about if you have children, if you have a spouse. Somebody like me, I'm very free. I am an empty nester. There's no children tying me down, so I can do what I want when I want. My profession always also allows me to move back and forth. And I would love to be in Kenya. I would rather be teaching Kenyan students, because there's something about Kenyan students that is absent from the American kids. American kids can be a little bit dense. They don't know anything about the world. Makes my work very difficult. You want to teach somebody about Haitian literature. They don't even know where Haiti is. So you have to start with a geography lesson first, tell them about Haiti, tell them a little history about Haiti, instead of just diving into the literature, session. So there are some good things about Kenya that people don't realize. And like I said, I don't know why we amplify our failures. You can fail in the diaspora just the way you can fail in Kenya. It doesn't mean that going to the diaspora makes you a success. No. You can succeed anywhere.
Okay.
People succeed here and they never leave this country. Yes.
All right.
So, like I said, I have so much to say.
Okay.
What did I have to say?
Yes,
Yes,
sawa. Esther, yeah, we
so-
have a couple of other
So,
callers. we have a
coming from
couple.
the diaspora, yes.
Yes.
Coming from the diaspora puts you in a dire situation. People mark you like they want money from you. They think you have a lot of money, which is a misconception. They are Kenyans. I have friends in Kenya who are very successful and they've never left the country. But people kind of just have this mindset that when you come from the diaspora, you have money. Like
Okay.
a man was asking me the other day, kwani unafanyia mawe? Because when I was trying to ask for a better price, I was trying to buy something from him, and to them, they think people in the diaspora just flash money.
should
And I'm
never
like, no, we are
negotiate.
just like anybody else. We budget too. So things like bribing, you have to bribe your way, whether you like it or not. You
Okay.
know?
All right.
Whether you like it or not. But there's some luxuries in the diaspora. For example, I have
okay,
so many
Esther,
people working
Esther, we
for me,
really
and
have to.
when you pay
yeah.
them, it's like 300 shillings. That's like $2. I don't know. All that kind of
Esther,
stuff.
we really have to go to the next caller because there's a couple of callers on
Yes.
queue. Many people are calling in, so thank you so much. And then we're gonna get to Kimani. Like
one mic.
Yeah. Before we go to the next call, I want to come back to Kimani. There's this issue of like bribery. I personally have been told this by my own family members back home who know me. They tell me that you will not survive in Kenya. Ukikuja nayo attitude yako that you're not paying any bribe or you're not doing anything. They're like, you will not survive.
Toa ushuru.
Yes, you will not survive in Kenya.
Rushwa,
So now my question here, Kimani, is that are we in a position where as Kenyans, I'm not even talking as diasporans anymore, where we become so powerless that we're gonna live in a society where because this has gotten worse. It used to be there, but I think it has gotten a notch higher.
Yeah, but that's what I said. In
Where
the
it's
beginning.
everywhere.
The entire East African system is shitstem all mixed
Yes,
up now. It's worse.
So now the problem is, if we all say, okay, if we can't deal with that, we're gonna exit. Are we somehow, enabling this system without knowing it? Kimani.
I think we enable it, and there's a point where you have to accept where you draw the line. So bribing is just not something I thought I wanted to do, because then you perpetuate the problem. And if enough of us say no, then that cop will learn to live within that salary that he's been allocated. It's the one part of the life I was just I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. And to be honest, we were leaving Carnival after celebrating some transaction, and I was going to drop my colleague home in Karen, and leave Carnival up Langata Road, just over there near, I think it's called Rangers, the restaurant getting into Nairobi National Park. There was Alcoblo, and yeah, I had a few glasses of wine with dinner, and Alcoblo, boss, you're thrown in the back of the pickup. And to me, this was an experience I had never been through, but I knew I wasn't going to drive. So on that day, I ended up at Langata police station, and I was thrown in a cell. And some things you just have to experience in life. It was unfortunate because the next day I missed a friend's mother's funeral. That was sad, but I stuck to my gun. I wasn't going to do it. It just felt foolish. But the funny thing was, during the duration of the night, the crowd that was about, let's say, 40 people that you were all thrown in the cell started dwindling. By the time morning came, there was about 5 people. Those are the ones whose bribes had not figured. All the other guys had gone. And me, hata mara ya mwisho, sikulipa bribe. And then you go to Kibera court. Hey, the guys were laughing because me, I was honestly saying, first of all, I wasn't drunk, and I had a few glasses of wine. But the trouble you go through to make a point, it's exhausting, but I think it's the right thing to do. If we all just willy-nilly just say, okay, you'll chota, man, it gets to be a bad cycle. And you'll often be the target. Just like they know you when you walk into the building and they know you're a target. You have dollars. Your accent will give you away no matter what you do. So how many times do you pay that? It's an expensive tax, man.
Yes, it is indeed an expensive tax. Another caller. Today the callers, man, are relentless.
This is their show. So let's see. 2873. Hello.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Bandio, Ali, on Mike, Mika, Omos. It's Nixon, man, from Boston. How are you?
Hi, Nixon. Talk to us from Boston.
Sema bwana Muriyoki niaje.
It's been a minute, guys. It's been a minute. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity and thank my boy, Tony. Yeah, man, much kudos. A lot of props. Thank you so much for doing this. And for literally just schooling people. And I think this to me is brother Skipper. I've known Tony for the last, I don't know, maybe 40 years. He's one of my very good friends. And I'm very, very happy that he's actually, gone through the process of, like you said on the call, the previous show, of basically healing and just wanting to talk about it because it's a learning experience, man. Tony, asante sana, shukran. And you guys, obviously, for having it. Mine is very few. I mean, I have a few comments to make regarding this topic. And personal experiences as well. I tried this move 2024. Okay, I was gone for about maybe 8 months or so. And let me tell you something, my friends. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what strategy you think you may have living. Kenya today is a different beast. And to be honest with you, you can't be here in this country, having lived for over 30 years. You can, just like Tony said, you can't show up having left Kenya when you're 19 and you're going back in your 50s or 40s thinking that it's the same country that you left, especially if you've never gone back with the mentality of going back. Half the time we've gone home, it's been a trip for, go see your paros, go do the hani thing, dunda, sherehe, the what, samabani, story. But the minute you make the conscious decision that, hey, you'd like to go back, and either because, you think you have something to offer, be it Alex, or any other field, right? I tried both. You have no idea. You guys know me, and I even tried at one point. I was trying to put down a group of nurses. Just we have an influx. We have a lot of qualified RNs in this country, and some of them were just curious trying to figure out how can they give back. They just wanted to give back. So I came up with this brilliant idea, or so I thought, of trying to contact the board, the medical board in Kenya. It's Kenya, the doctors and pharmaceutical board, or whatever it has. So it's called. Alex can give us the acronyms. And I had a couple of meetings with the president then, trying to figure out how we can do this. Like, nurses come, we have people coming all year round. Can we create a program in conjunction with them where some of these people are just willing to, on their own time, to come home for vacation? When they come home for 3 weeks, a month, or whatever, just spend a week and learn about the Kenyan medical system, these are, and see how they can help and do all that. My guy, the first thing they told me was for them even to think about going to a hospital on a professional aspect, in other words, in their professional work, they have to pay for a license, and it's 30,000 a year. Now I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, these are people who are coming back and they just want to volunteer. There's already a shortage of medics in Kenya. These are people who just want to come back and volunteer their services for free. They pay their way there. They're just coming instead of sherehe, they do that 1-2 weeks and say, you know what, let me share the new tricks and plans of what we are doing outside the country and see how we can implement it at home. Just like what Alex was talking about. And then you hear that, you've got to do Asati. I have a very common friend of ours, and most of you may know her, maybe you do not. This lady worked for Walgreens as a doctor. She's a pharmacist, a doctor. And when she moved back home, her story is on Facebook. You can look it up. I can share the name. But when she went back home, she put her life, she never gave up. But it took her, I want to say, almost 4.5 years of doing internships. Mind you, she was the regional director for Walgreens pharmacies in the United States, right? They put her through the ringers. And for her to be able to get her license, she actually had to write the pharmacy manual, like of regulations, and update it for the board. That's how, when they realized that she's actually serious and she got her license to practice in Kenya. Okay. So there's all these things that hinder people and whatnot and so forth. But back to my experience. So I tried to move. Let me just say, try to move. I actually went home and I wanted to experience the life. I wanted to see how I can make things work. Or even if I moved to Kenya, how I'd maneuver doing a few things. Well, short of losing a lot of money, you actually realize that Kenya is a different ballgame. Things that you're promised or things that you may think that you're doing, shaking a gentleman's hand here, that system doesn't exist. Okay. Kenya, there is no networking. Okay. There's no networking. It's who you know, your contacts, your connections, and whatnot. But anyway, long story short, man, I'm so happy that we did this subject, and let's keep talking about it. But thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you, Nixon. Long time, my friend.
Shukran, Sana Nixon. Thank you so much from Boston. Wow, we're getting very interesting phone calls today.
Yeah.
We have another caller.
Yes, we do have 2 more callers now. With time, we have hard stop at 11. So please make it brief here to Saidia.
We need 2.5 minutes.
2.5.
Yeah, no ABCD.
9144. Karibu.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Welcome to the One Mic Show.
Asante sana kwa majina. My name is Robinson Motiso. As you well know, you guys, we met a couple of years ago. This was in 2012.
Oh.
I'm the coffee guy.
Okay. Oh, yes. Robinson, where are you based now?
Texas.
Now I'm based in Houston, Texas. I'm still doing coffee trading.
Okay. All right.
And I'm happy to be in your show today.
Okay.
I've been listening to some of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm transitioning back and forth to Kenya here and there.
Okay.
With the new coffee programs that have been happening. And nimekuwa kabuda. So,
Okay.
I have to accept that.
Yeah. So how has your experience been moving to Kenya?
Well, there are certain aspects. When you look at, there's one aspect which most people are forgetting. It's where do you want to retire? Most people, of course, they say, oh, I retire home and I want to build a house, blah, blah, blah. But then there's aspect of family. In my family, I have generations. I have a Gen Z. I have a Alpha. And the Alphas, they're okay. They love it because they play with kids. But the Gen Zs, they're like, this is so weird. Why are we doing this? Why is this guy doing that? Why is that guy peeing on the wall? Certain questions, it's awkward. And then there's certain aspects we have to look at, even here, we as diasporans. One is the diaspora news somehow, they have a negative connotation of moving back. They give you the worst of the worst. Like there's one news article, they will tell you, there's two guys who moved back to Kisii or somewhere, and they were killed, by their family members because of jealousy. Uliona kuna Mkenya mwingine aliuliwa kwa kuekwea mchele, mchele meaning the drugs, he was drugged in a club. So those kind of negative news kind of flow amongst us and create a lot of fear. And then there's the Esther lady who spoke about, kama watu waliomoka, there's that kind of what you come and find a mansion. Right now as we are talking, the people who own those mansions or even the people who own businesses back home, they're feeling the pinch back home. So you're spending more money for healthcare to pay SHA to cover most of the costs which the government is supposed to be doing. So here, it's not even about the black tax. It's like now you've become an NGO, sort of. Saidia huyu, which is okay based on, the level of the amount you can contribute. Or saa zingine you just say, man, takuombea, man, lakini, hey, hapa hivi Trump anatuchapa kiboko. So you have to keep saying that all the time.
Yeah.
But all in all, we have to think about even the kids.
Yes.
Let's not leave the kids out of the picture. Hii mambo ya leaving the kids out of the picture, hiyo sipendi. When you're retiring, involve your family. When you're trying to go back home, hata kama uliachana na bibi ama anything, involve the kids.
Yes.
Because one day, that really matters a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you Robinson. Now stay in touch tuweze kuzungumza zaidi kuhusiana na hiyo tea stuff.
Okay, shukran Robinson.
Shukran sana.
All the way from Houston, Texas. Thank you so much.
All right. Twende kwa 4905. Hello.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hello, my name is Pamela, and I'm calling from North Carolina.
Okay. Welcome.
I thoroughly enjoy your show. I came just across it. I am a senior citizen.
Okay.
I think I'm one of your oldest fans. Yeah. I am 68 years of age. I've lived in America for 51 years.
Wow.
I
come back again.
Yes.
Mhm.
I came back. I came back to Kenya. And let me tell you, there is a lot of misconceptions. When I first arrived, I came to the United States in 1975
Wow.
after finishing high school. And the same, excuse my colorful language, shit that I experienced in the US my first 3 years is the same experience people will get in Kenya. We romanticize too much of Kenya. There's this romantic, I need to return, we need to return, returnees come back, all that stuff is not really true. Then there is the issue of bribery that people are talking about. I decided that I'm going to go back to Kenya, but when I'm going to go back to Kenya, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to adhere by their laws and regulations. Just follow the laws and the regulations of the Kenyan government. And that's exactly what I did. My husband passed away. We met in the United States and we lived together for 44 years and he passed away. And he had land in Kenya. And being a Luo, as tradition is, last born, whatever it is, blah, 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 fish cakes. I don't have to explain. So then my son would take over. So I went to get the title deed, change the title deed and whatnot. But I refused to pay any bribe. It took me about 6 years. And every time they were telling me, oh, your file is gone here, your file is gone here, your file. I'll say, okay, I'll be back. What I did was I kept copies. Then at the last moment, when I had gone, I said I'd made a little bit of errors in the probate court. And then those ones were fixed, I went back and I submitted my documents on a Wednesday and I went back on a Friday. Then they told me, oh, your documents are lost. I said, no problem. I called and I was staying at a hotel. I called a manager and I said, can you take me to my village so I can bring the copy and bring it back? I said, we have exactly 2 hours. Court opens at about 2:00. He drove me there and we came back. And I said, here is a copy. Here is the copy of the files that were lost. They were found. What I am going to try to tell Kenya, yes, they were found. I never paid a bribe.
Okay.
Somebody says, yes, you are enablers. But if you refuse, yes, it will take you a little bit longer. But if you refuse and say, okay, I will sit and sit and sit. There was a whole day I sat in the land's office, Abbey House or whatever they call it. I just sat there. And then at the end I said, I am so tired. I cried. Hey, mama, she's crying all over the place. Yes, this is what you need to do. In 2024, I went back to Kenya and I said, I'm going to build for my son a house and for myself. I built exactly a 1-bedroom house, 418 square feet. That's it. No mansion, no nothing. This is all I need. A bedroom, kitchen, a toilet, a bathroom. That's it. 418 square feet on a 3-acre piece of land. That's all I needed. Wow. I really exist in the United States. I said, oh, I have a 2,500 square foot house, but it is too big. It's too big for me now.
Yeah.
So we have to have some realization of who we are. Yes, there's the black tax. Yes, there is this. Yes, there is that. But you've got to tell family. Yeah, I can tell them, hey, what do you need? Hey, I'm not part of you, and you're not part of me. And I've been saving and saving. Since the day I came, I used to put aside $20 every time I got paid. So that when I go back, my landing is soft, as we call it, soft. So for many people in the diaspora, I can tell you, there is too much too much of an illusion, which is almost delusional. Kenya is what it is. There are people that are making it and there are people that are not making it. We have too many kids over there that are unemployed. So I say, please be realistic. Stop lying. You should always tell. When I came, I used to ask my parents to come, and they came. Just see where I live. Just see where I live and how I'm living. That is critical. When they talk about children, I was like, oh, there was one time that my child was like, Mom, I don't understand what you and Dad talk about. I said, oh, no problem. I sent him to Kenya in 7th grade. 7th to 9th grade. I sent him to Kenya. You are going to go and stay with your grandmother, and you're going to figure out Kenya for yourself. At 7th grade. 7th grade. Who is now the biggest proponent of Kenya? Then he had an internship in when he was in college. And he said, I'm taking 22 of my American friends to grandmother's house. And he did. And they were surprised. Yes, he did. 22 in 2016. 22 Americans. They were mostly white folks. Let me not lie. They were white folks. And they went there. And they were like, we don't want to come back. They didn't even want to leave the home. Hey, we were like, what? They didn't want to leave the home. There's everything here. I told them, yeah, this is how we live. In America, they think that we are monkeys from the trees. No, this is how we live.
Okay. All right.
We have everything that you may need.
Yes. So Miss...
So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Pamela. And I think, it's very interesting. I don't know. There was a gentleman who had told me, and I think it might have been you, who has been in the U.S. for 51 years. There's not too many of you, so it would be, we will contact you, and it would be nice to get a deeper perspective from you, especially over the time period that you've been here on this issue of especially the romanticization. We're trying to look at it from both sides, but thank you so much for your contribution. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. 5131 leo zinadondoka kama nini sijui. Karibu sana.
Okay.
Be brief tafadhali.
Be brief. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Tunakusikia. Karibu.
Yes, 30 seconds.
Yes, name and where you're calling from.
Dombolo. Ni name na nini ingine nafaa niseme?
Uko wapi?
Uko wapi na social security ni gani?
Dombolo, Baltimore. Iko sawa.
Sawa. Karibu.
So I just wanted nilisikiza interview, nimesikia Doki akiongea, nimesikia Kimani akiongea,
yes.
Kola.
Yes.
And mujaribu ku summarize vitu in ways that make sense to me, because I consider advice, hata ya lawyer, hata ya daktari, to be more informational than authoritative. And what I mean is, at the end of the day, the authority lies in the decision maker, which is you.
Yes.
If you go do something and you get a lawyer, your advice from Skize, you will do the time or you will enjoy the freedom. The lawyer might have a steak dinner with you, but that's about it. If you go to a doctor, it's the same thing. The doctor gives you advice. If it works out, you leave. If it doesn't work out, you die. So advice generally, even these conversations, are mostly informational, not authoritative, so that then, and the idea is to have as diverse conversations as we can. So I have a tighter relationship with Kenya because I have kids that live in Kenya. Right now, my 5-year-old, Akoshule inaitwa, what is the name of that school? Baha, Maria Immaculate. But I'm a transfer and a Shepherd Junior, just because of bus and transportation. So what the previous caller said, my firstborn who's in London now, Ali, and Kenya for 1 year. Like I try to do that thing where my kids understand the place so that there's a connection. But what I was trying to say is, Historia could move home, right? So ukitoa story tapa, because once for those people who are financially secure or come from a family that has money, these issues generally don't apply to them. We're talking about the rest of us who want to go to invest, blah, blah, blah. Right? So if you have the finances sorted, I think it's okay. But then here, you need to make that romanticization. So there's the expectation, the reality, your mindset about the difference between the two, and then the opportunities that you have. And I'll explain. So, of course, when in the home, Kimani was going home with the idea of changing the country, blah, 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 blah. Then reality hits, right? Once that reality hits, what's your mindset? I think a lot of people working in their home, they go home, but they take America home with them. And it's that the caller ule alikuwa anaongea Kiswahili alikuwa anasema, and I don't think sometimes you notice when you do it, but we do it. And kumbuka, like kuna vitu utafanya ama kuna vile utasema ama vile bandio alisema, red light unasimama, they'll know you're not from here. In those economies, in those parts of Africa, and I've traveled East Central Africa, those isn't economies are survival at any given levels, because ule mse anameka $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, akiluzi your job, hakuna job kama hiyo ingine ataget anytime soon. So there's a lot of, I'm going to use the word protectionism. I don't know if that's grammatically correct in any position. Wewe ukiwa mgeni, like anywhere else, there's a lot of suspicion. There's a lot of suspicion, so you have to first change management on it a buy-in. You have to create buy-in into who you are, what you bring, what you represent, and find ways to make it clear that you're not there to violate what they value, but to add value to it. And that sometimes can be challenging, but there are ways to do it, and I'll give an example. Right? So your mindset of how you adjust. Before I give the example, there's one thing I want to say hapo kwa mindset. Najua mmesema mnataka kuinterview mtu ambaye ameishi Kenya, aliishi tu for 15 years, ameishi Kenya for more than 10 years, and then mongeza condition nyingine very challenging, that huyo mtu hakuwa na opportunity ya kurudi. Because of course, the moment mtu ako na opportunity ya kurudi US, na mtu ako na pesa ya familia, wako kind of similar, they have outs. I think for us to have the mindset, mtu anataka kupata mindset ya kurudi home, na I think Bandio has been alluding to this. What's your mindset? Tuna need to interview mtu ameenda home, ndio hakuwa na option, but they figured out how to make it work. How are they able to get buy-in? How are they able to, just because you can't come back, they don't know that when they see you. You still unanuka marashi, unaanza kusema, back in Boston or Cambridge or whatever, people say to make you like, hujamasi hapa. How do they adjust to the point where they find success? Because even mtu akona option ya kurudi, hizo tools zitamsaidia sana kuweza kuadjust ndio apate success kama mtu ambaye haizi rudi. Because I think that is the winning mindset. Ukiniuliza, I'll tell you, the people I've seen succeed are the people succeed and succeed well, are the people without the option of coming back. The people who could come back, came back. Now, there was a project I was trying to work on. Uko kwetu Eastlands, uko kwetu East Komabis. Public, hakuna place ya kucheza mahali sisi tulikuwa tunachezea. Most grounds other than ya Toyoyo, Jerry, ama ground ingine kama Hadu, all those grounds zimechukuliwa. Now there are buildings between Kaburu kwetu, between Church of God and Nashopido, the ground hapo sasa kuna apartments. The only place that they have still playgrounds ni kwa primary schools. Bidii primary school where I went, Martin Luther, hizo shule zote bado ziko na playground. And I was trying to approach politicians, senior leaders, even in this current administration, kuambia skiza, we can work on a project, we can pilot a project, do a private-public partnership, kama sabidi, tuonge nao, tuwatengeneze tafa, ama tutengeneze standi kona bleachers, the school uses it on weekdays, and then we allow the community around kujaga weekdays, wacheze ligi ndogo, blah, 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 blah. We involve parents. Itasaidia kureduce crime. Because these kids, they grow up, they have, wako tu kwa base, wamekaa from a very young age, hakuna uwanja, so hakuna ball, hakuna organization, right? And I was really pitching this thing, and I could not understand why it was not sticking. I talked to a lot of people. And then I talked to a returnee who's been in Kenya for a while. And I pitched this thing. And he listened to me, he told me, it's a very good idea, but who does it benefit? I'm like, the kids, crime, nini, improvement, blah, blah, blah. He told me, you're never going to go anywhere with that. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, everyone you talk to in this country primarily looks at how do I benefit from the situation. So he told me, in that thing of yours, if when you're talking to the politicians, you would spin it and tell them, this would get you votes, this would get your name out there, this for you. So you make them see the advantage for themselves so that you still get a goal, but you don't focus on your goal. You focus on what they benefit out of it. And then you're able, and I was like, wow. But by the time you go and Mechoka, I think I wanted to run for a political office and I changed my mind. Anyway, so what my plea out of all this thing, ni mwadijasio, mtafute mtu akona anaweza saidia hapa kwa mindset. Ya mtu ame succeed. Jusai, I think a lot of conversations are around people that have gone and it hasn't worked, and we know what's not working, and I think we're kind of getting a gist of that. We need to know what's working, and I think the only way to get that is from someone who has actually made it.
Yes, DB, but one real quick thing, DB, before you go, we do want that person who has succeeded, but you've alluded yourself that that person we are looking for does not exist. You said it indirectly, meaning that a lot of people who have an option to come back tend to come back. And that's the reason why we are having difficulty in finding this person that we are looking for. And the question here is, DB, is why are all the people with an option to come back coming back? And I think this is a bigger policy issue.
Maybe not all.
No, not all of them. No, of course not all. Of course not all. No, it's of course not all. But it's a good majority of them who are coming back. And I think the question that we are all trying to avoid, because there's two sides here. There's a side that is giving reality. We stayed here. This is what happened, and we are coming back. And then there's another side that's saying, apana, like these guys are failures. You guys are focusing on failure stories. We've been asking for these success stories. And like you alluded yourself, DB, that condition is very difficult to meet because a good majority of those who meet that condition tend to come back. And I think the big question we should be asking is, why is that the case? And we actually do not mind, by the way. By the way, DB,
tunataka to close kwa hiyo
kwa ngoja kidogo DB.
I tell you why.
Ngoja, yes, you'll tell me. But DB ngoja.
Those who succeeded, and I know a few, they come back because they want their kid to have the benefits of an American education with the scholarships, blah, blah, blah. Those people who I know who've gone, succeeded, they didn't come back because Kenya wasn't working. They came back so their kids can get and I know a good number of them.
So DB
went back.
Okay.
They were working. Everything was working. They have their salaries, but they come back so their kids, because an American education in this world, unless it changes, in this world, opens quite a number of doors.
Okay. Got your point taken.
Right,
can we
give you to wrap it up?
Can we give you the homework to find us one person? Because everybody is telling us this. Everyone is telling that. Give us a success story. Can we give you the homework?
But success is relative.
Okay, whatever their definition is.
But at the same time,
whatever the definition is.
Hapo akaanza kumention success zao za Kenya and then wataminywa huko.
Lakini ndo nasema.
I'm telling you. I know. I'm from East Africa.
Lakini ndo nasema DB. I want DB. And I want people who are listening to know. We are talking practical things.
The very same issue, Ali.
Yes.
Mtu akija hapa akaanza kuzungumza nimisucceed Kenya hivi na hivi, watu wakula watasema, so unaanza kubrag, and then unaanza kufanya vitu
okay. So
yeah, bado kuna challenge nyingine kupata.
Yes. Yeah.
The reality of success is this. It requires one of two things. A lot of patience, like the caller who talked before me, or adjusting to the system and knowing how to play that game. The reason most people who succeeded will probably not come on air and tell on air how they succeeded is to play that game that is played there. That game, the things sometimes you have to do to be able to say, hey, how do they talk? They talk quickly because 5% of Mimi. There's a guy I know who started a tracking business.
Yep.
This is the last.
Exactly what I was saying.
There's a guy who started
1 minute. Your time.
He This guy alikuwa track zake alikuwa in Uganda, Rwanda. And what he had done, hii mahesabu ya seto anasema okay, it will cost gas, mafuta petroli, it will cost 500k for e-load moja. But then there are people who are telling him, mimi nalipanga 6 million per 7. I'm like, why do you put gas ya petroli ya pesa mingi hivyo? Guess what? When he started doing that business, he realized that truck zake always, because madereva wa lori wanaibanga mafuta. That's how they make the extra money. That's how they survive. So he realized that mzigo yake inakwama, clients wana complain, blah blah blah. Then an old man told him, just charge. Wapatie hiyo watu wakule. Wapatie hiyo 700k, mzigo yako itafika on time, you'll be reliable, just build the customer. And he said from the day aliacha waibiwe, from that day onwards, biashara yake inaran poa. The adjustments that have to be made,
Strait of Hormuz.
No, they are paying for they are paying more than they should. That's what I'm telling you. The reason to get that person who may succeed, because to succeed, it takes things like that. Let's just one example.
You can never.
Thank you. That's good. So,
okay. All right.
Kusuccess kwenye nchi zetu ni kama kuvaa new underwear. It's fun to have it, it's good to have it, lakini huwezi kuionyesha.
But tunaona bandio, and I'm gonna let Kimani have the last one. There's definitely gonna be a part 2.
Well, yeah, we need to wrap this up.
There's definitely gonna be a part 2.
One mic ameanza kusinzia huko.
Yeah, Kimani, we've already enrolled you for part 2 without asking your permission.
Na sivae angolo, akuje bila angolo.
So, but I think, I think the common problem I'm personally having with people, and I think it's fair enough to say, like when you move to Kenya, like comply with how people live there. That is fair enough. But then there are certain things, like Pamela was talking about, like for example, like bribery, and these issues, like if you want to be successful, these are the things that you must do. I think it's very problematic when everyone starts saying, and that's in the diaspora and even people living in Kenya, that this is what we need to do for success.
I'm not sure, Ali, what do you mean by complying? Because even moving here, you did comply to some other stuff, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, maybe to what extent can you comply?
Don't nasema your compliance, for example, if compliance means, for example, bribing to get paid what's rightfully yours, I think that's a problematic compliance. And that's why Pamela was saying, if enough of us, ama kama vile Kimani alisema, he spent a night, like in a jail cell. I've had my experience with getting
na pesa, sema ukweli.
I've had my experience with trying to get an ID. Unajua ID Kenya na hizi majina zetu. I was patient enough and I got it. But the problem, I understand someone who needs it for a job next week. I understand.
Kwa hiyo Ali unaniambia uko airport na unajua kabisa kwamba mtu anaweza kukupitisha hapo na anataka $5, then the chance is utamiss flight.
Ali atampa.
No, mimi simpi.
Unajua Ali ama unamsikia.
I will miss that flight.
And you
see,
unajua Ali ama unamsikia.
And you see, it is not that, like I am a great person or I'm a good person.
15.
The problem, unajua problem issue, this issue of us taking these shortcuts, we pay for them indirectly. We pay for them indirectly.
You're right about that.
By poor services, because now there's an incentive to have a poor service. Unaona kama hiyo Esther alikuwa anasema ati you're deliberately given, like a phone number that doesn't work so that you can send the money directly to their M-Pesa. So I think these things, okay, and I know right now I'll be told I'm preaching, but I think these things are problematic, and as a society, we have to ask ourselves, we are constantly talking about, like our government, like Ruto stealing. I mean, he's a thief. He's a known thief. We talk about Ruto stealing. We talk about, we talk about these things constantly.
No, you're right.
But
Ali,
then,
you're right.
At the same time, especially at a personal level, I understand there's that person who has no choice. But for people who have a choice, when you keep allowing this to happen, it gets worse, because corruption imekwako, lakini we can all agree that it's gotten worse from when we were young to where it is right now. It's gotten to a level where it's just completely
totally agree,
out of control. The last question I'm going to ask Kimani, to wrap up, how do you differentiate that this is just a tough adjustment phase or this plan is failing? How do you differentiate that, Kimani?
In short,
have goals. Just saying, I knew from the onset, without having spoken about it, it was going to be a 5-year plan. And whatever I was at that 5-year mark, I knew it was either going to be thumbs up or thumbs down. There just has to be hard metrics that you have to accept that at some point, Kenya has a way of almost promising you, hang in there, or it's coming around. You get paid at the end of the month. And as you continue, time goes.
Yeah.
And your kids are still there looking at you funnily. So you just have to have a hard
Watoto
standard that said, this is it.
Yeah. Right.
At this point, it ends.
So for you, the honeymoon was 9 months. So for 4 years, 3 months, you are in total hardship.
I was not total hardship. I was in
progressive hardship.
Progressive hardship. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
In a way to say that you're allowing the system to work its way out. Not expecting that, in the US, things happen when they're supposed to happen. You're accounting for, okay, around here, let me see how long it's going to take, because, I shouldn't come with my American mentality of it will be paid, net 90 days.
All right.
So you're there working with the system and saying, okay, all right, tuendelee tu, tuendelee.
Uno Mike, wahenga.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Part 1. Part 2 incoming.
Yes.
Kimani, usibanduke.
Yes.
I think we may need to go to Arizona.
All right.
So
Omosh fire.
Yeah, man. So thanks to our
sorry, Nika.
Ni sawa tu, acha Omosh.
Oh, sorry.
Omosh fire.
Mikasi, when are you coming to the studio?
I'm not coming to the studio.
Okay, sawa. So
See,
thanks.
wamefunga straight of Hormuz hapo.
Yeah, Kiwika. Thanks to all my fans. Thanks to my childhood friends, both Kimani and Daktari. And I'm not going to say how long I've known them, but it's for at least 4 decades. But who do I tell? With that said, asanteni, watu wangu wanguvu. We shall see you next week. Yes, we do have a show next week. It might be part 2.
It might be part 2.
It might be part 2.
Yes.
We are gonna go into the negotiating room and see whether the straits will be opened.
Yeah.
With that said, Mikasi, shika mic.
Thank you very much, Mosh. I want to thank you, Kimani. I want to thank Alan. I want to thank all the callers that called in. Today has been a very interactive show with the callers. Hata si tumenyamaza tu hapa, Alindo amebonga, lakini hao wengine wana mic mdomo ananuka.
Hana mdomo.
Hapo kwa bubu.
Kwa bubu gadhe, bubu.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and all our listeners, all our contributors, and those who come in and watching the recorded episodes. Thank you for that interaction. And man, Kimani, thank you for your story. Sometimes some things you just have to hear it from the horse's mouth. And I'm glad that the callers who called in, each one of them had an experience, a unique experience on speaking. And there was a lot to learn from the callers today. Really a lot of it, much more than what we would have. Ikiwa tu si panel tunaongea tukiwa tunapiga speculation
Yep.
Unajua mtu akirudi yeye anafanya hivi na hivi. But with the callers, that interaction was just so amazing, and we want to thank you. And hopefully part 2 and hizo zingine you'll be continuing. Those who called for the first time and continue calling, we love this interaction. This show is for you. Apart from that, the weather is nice. Season ya kutoka nje na season ya DUI. Don't drink and drive. Be safe. Kwa hiyo.
Asante.
Okay, twende kwa Kimani. Yes, Kimani, give us your last word, but it's not your last word, it's your last word for part 1. We've already recruited you without your permission.
This is
for
the
part 2.
2.5 year mark before your 5 years.
I'd say this, that there's Giannis, the Greek guy, basketball player,
Antetokounmpo
used to play for Milwaukee, I think.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, and there's a year they missed either the playoffs or something. And the reporter asked him, does he consider that year to be a failure?
Yes.
If you ever see someone answering that question, you have to see that clip. And he asks, Michael Jordan was in the league for how many years? 20. And he had 6 championships? Does that mean the other 14 were failures? It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece that kind of gives you perspective. So Kenya, with all its dynamic ups and downs and everything it comes with, it's an experience. Like Alan said, you go there, you'll get your MBA. You'll be sorted, and you'll be much better off when you come back because you are laser focused. Being in that grind and seeing all that we take for granted when we're here makes you a better person. When you come back, you're straight as an arrow.
Wow. So how many years do you have now in your plan for Stato? Asking for Mosh.
I'm now in year 8. Gotta get the kids off to college. First one next year.
Yeah.
The next one 2 years from that. So I'd say about 8 to 10.
Now, the interesting perspective that we also got was from Dr. Alan, who said that retirement is also not a good plan in Kenya. So I think
defend very well.
Yes.
Juu ya healthcare. Na unajua health hatukuguza at all.
Yes.
Tumeiguza kwake lakini hapa kwa Kimani hatukuguza. Na
Yes.
Kimani pia kuna stories za health. Na
Yes.
health is a huge thing for people who meander back and forth or want to go back.
But sio kitu hata mimi nimewambia hapa hivi mara mob sana. Hii kitu ina need 50-50. Unakuja hapa medical 6 months ni daktari. Unafanya medical yako unaangalia kizazi kingine kile wende kwa mzuri unaenda Kenya kuchomwa na jua.
Yes. So I think, Kimani asante sana. And I think, like we want these broad perspectives. I will repeat this again. Like there's something that DB said that has got me thinking that those success stories that we're looking for, first of all, he said the first one was a very tough criteria. Then the second thing he said is that they're not willing to talk.
I knew that from the beginning.
Because they're not willing to reveal what it is they're doing to become successful. So does that mean that to become successful in Kenya, you have to be crooked? That's what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm trying to understand.
It depends on who's measuring with which ruler are you using?
No. I wouldn't say crooked. I would say
define crooked.
I would say it's adaptability, Ali. It's just the same way.
Oh, that's what it's called now.
No. When you come to America, Ali,
that's not what he's saying.
Let's do it this way, right?
Yeah.
When you come to America, right, from where you're coming from, when you come to America, there are certain things that are different for you.
Yes.
And are new to you. Yeah. Right? And you adapt to those ways and you do those ways. Right? Now, let's say in Kenya, not everybody, it doesn't mean that everybody in Kenya who does business in Kenya anahungana ama anaenda kufanya corruption ama nini, right? But niko na ile njia ku understand kuna mtu atakula mwingine broker, right?
Yes.
Najua kuna broker ataenda kuongea. Broker si bribe. Broker ni mtu amefacilitate hiyo deal. Broker ni lobbyist America.
Correct.
No, na broker.
Sindio?
Yes. Broker.
Yeah. So mimi nikiko napiga business najua niko na broker nikimwambia vitu. Kama broker anaenda kuhongana anaenda Kenya ataenda kufanya ni kazi ya bronga. Bila najua tu mimi nimefanya purpose. Okay, fine.
Now that's where Mika, I think we philosophically disagree. And we can agree to disagree. We can. That's why we philosophically disagree.
Unajua nini?
Yeah.
If you say that nini your story, if you say that we will always work with a broker, it's just the same way. The way in America you work with a deal maker, the way in Saudi ama country gani kutakuwa na deal maker na kuja kuongea about a certain deal. It all comes down to this. It comes down to your moral fiber, how you feel it is, how you feel your moral fiber palita kufika.
So Mika,
part 2.
Yeah. But real quick, let me correct Mika on something. The difference between a lobbyism pia ni corruption. But the difference is that in this country, what they make it, like ukitaka kwenda kuchukua license, you don't need a lobbyist, you don't need a broker. So for certain basic services, which it used to be like this in Kenya.
Hiyo sasa tuta extend next
Yes,
year.
it used to be like this in Kenya. But sasa kwa sababu tunakubali, imefika point sasa, hata mtu akitaka kuwekewa maji nyumbani, there has to be some form of corruption.
But normally that's what we do.
But things never used to be like this.
All right.
Things never used to be like this.
Hii haitoisha hii.
Yes.
Hii haitoisha. Twende tufunge ali.
Yes, but again.
11:30.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Bana tunataka kwenda home bana tunataka
but again, I thank Kimani, I thank Dr. Alan, I thank everyone who called. Nixon. There were so many callers. Mbaka Robinson Mutiso, Pamela. So
Jerry
wote na wale hatujawataja watu wa comments
Kibe
yes man. Okay, watu wa comments like mtusamee leo yes mtusamee leo because they are coming in thick and fast, so forgive us for today. We're gonna have a part 2. I'm telling you, we'll exhaust this topic until the day when you guys will get us a success story, because
the live kesho to some comments
because unaona, because ikitu like we've
Ali,
gotten
wewe funga
yes.
The last party in the conference.
Ndo nasema
umefungiwa,
tutaendelea until the day we get a success, and we're looking for a success story.
Okay.
So thank you so much, and thank you so much for all those who are tuned in, and we have a lot more in store for the month of May before we take a break on Memorial Weekend. We're going to take the normal break at Memorial Weekend. Na kwa hayo machache, yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Na operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, unamkumbusha ni mjukuu yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Una Mike.
Aiden, daddy loves you. Jerry, daddy loves you. Nemo, daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.
All right. Shukran sana Kimani.
Thanks.
Na wengine wote, this was heavy. Nilikuwa naangalia hapa, it's about almost 1100 views. Mpaka sasa na a lot of comments. Kwa hiyo watu wa comments mtusamee. Muda haukutosha.
Yes.
Watu wa simu tumejaribu kuchukua zote. Next time nafikiri ukipiga simu unaweza ukapata chance kuliko kuandika comments. Kwa hiyo vitu tunataka, lakini we'll work on balancing it up. So next time I think we'll do it.
Na hapa before we go, Ira alikuwa ananiambia aliachana na Kenya bro, wezi make roho safi, plus we are too old, just support the Gen Zs and Sifunas and give them 4 terms to come close to what it was. Cheers gentlemen, good show.
All right, wajue tu at one point hata M7 alikuwa one of the best.
He sure was.
He sure was. When he was hata una Gen Z when he was a Gen Z. Kwa hiyo mtu yote akiingia anasema binadamu mpe vitu viwili, mpe power, mpe money, utaweza kumjua. So tazungumza mambo kibao. Nafikiri mimi nilikuwa naangalia how do we really prepare ourselves for the trip, kwa maana ya kwamba monetary wise, I mean for the kids, do we really prepare them kujua nini wanakwenda, how to adapt and all this stuff, when we have to. Now depending on the situations, ndio kwa sababu wengine na kwa tofauti, do we know the needs and greets za kwamba ukifika kule ili uweze kuhudumiwa inabidi ufanye nini, au tunafika kule tunajikuta tunakuwa surprised. Also I wish tungeweza kufanya polls kujua Gen Z wanafikiriaje kuhusiana na hii, millennial wanafikiriaje kuhusiana na hii, alpha pia wanafikiriaje kuhusiana na hii, alafu kuna kina Omoshi wale baby boomers na ndio wanasema nini kuhusiana. Lakini thanks to Dr. Alan niseme hii, he logged in 16 minutes before we did. Okay, kwa hiyo alilogin na hakukuwa na kitu na akakaa for 16 minutes anasubiri kuja contribute, na amekuwa last caller pia kudrop. Kwa hiyo Alan amekuwa kwenye simu for over 3 hours.
Wow.
What?
3.5 hours akisikiliza hii show.
And that's why
and that's a physician who was not getting paid to be on the show.
And we need him to be on the show because that healthcare part, he has in-depth knowledge about it, because that's the other gap that we have. People don't know how to deal with this healthcare situation.
Healthcare in Kenya is just
Kimani atacheza kama yeye.
All right, zaidi hapo kama unatambua naitwa Mubelwa Twino kama sama ni kulinda Peter Bandio mwana Mapolina kwenye rego naitwa Ras Twin, Rasi ya Marasta ni Real African Soldier na Twin si ya mapacha, hata kama wanifuatao ni mapacha. Hadi wakati mwingine, wanasema jipendo ukipenda, jali ukiwajali wengine. Till next time, bye-bye.
Kachembe.